All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here for our regular City Council meeting. Let's go ahead and call to order at 6:11. And let's do roll call. Ronnie, would you like to do roll call, please?
Yeah. Councilor Gearhart?
Here.
Councilor Cunningham?
Here.
Councilor Tyso?
Here.
Councilor Braverman?
Here.
Councilor Giddy is online.
Councilor Arditi, can you hear us?
And now. Can you hear me?
So we have Randy Olson, Councilor Arditi,
Here.
and then Councilor Olson is excused.
And me? Here. Okay. I'm here too. Okay. Thank you. All right. If you would like to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. First, before we get to our minutes, there is a resolution that we need to add to the end of our agenda. So I would like to make a motion right now to amend the agenda to add resolution number R 2025-18 to the end of our agenda tonight. Would you like to second?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Can we get an aye? To add this resolution?
Aye.
Sure. It is a resolution supporting allocating additional funding to street improvements. As I believe it, it is for improvements to the roundabout and to 126. Is that right? Or 129. I asked about adding it to next month's agenda, but we do have a weather permitting issue to get these improvements done. Thank you. Right. So again, I apologize. We're going to take the vote one more time. It was motion and seconded to add resolution number R 2025-18 to the end of our agenda tonight, seconded by Councilor Cunningham. All in favor, raise your hand. Aye. Councilor Arditi, are you around? Don't see him. Okay. Call that an abstention, and motion passes. I'm going to add this to the end of our agenda here.
Could I also, point of order, Mayor, I'd like to also make a motion to amend our agenda to move the TSP relook up to the front of the agenda instead of being the second to last item.
No.
I've made a motion to amend the agenda then.
Is there a second? Would anybody like to second Councilor President? Hearing no second, we're just going to leave it where it's at. We do realize that we have a lot to get to on the agenda, and we do want to be cognizant of everybody's time. So we're going to just roll up our sleeves and efficiently work through each item on the agenda. First is our City Council minutes. There were two listed. The first one that we are going to look at is for special City Council meeting August 14th. I did not see anything that I needed to point out in these minutes. Any counselors see any edits? Okay, I will entertain a motion to
I move that we motion, or did you already?
Nope, go ahead. Okay.
I move that we accept the special city council meeting minutes from August 14th.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion has been seconded. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, three. You?
I have to abstain.
Here. And Councilor Gearhart, you did?
Yeah.
And Councilor Arditi, okay? All opposed and abstain. One abstention. Motion passes. 501. Regular City Council meeting minutes for August 21st. We're not ready for tonight, so I would like to make a motion to table that to October's meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay, motion passes 6-0. Next up on our agenda, we have special presentation by Washington County Election Levy. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, councilors and community leaders in the room and online. I'm just gonna get the PowerPoint set up. Jump right in. While you're getting that set up, I will, just introduce myself. My name is Jim Wheaton. I am the Sheriff Patrol Commander. So my, role at the Sheriff's Office is to oversee operations patrol in general. So that is all the deputies out there that you see, the cars that say sheriff across the side, that's the support. I am a public employee, so this is a local option levy presentation, so I am not allowed to give any sort of advocacy one way or the other. I have to stick to the script, so I'll try to answer as many questions as I can, but we do have elected officials in the room that can answer and fill in some of the understanding gaps. I do kind of have to stick to this. Since you have me here, if there are any operational questions, I can certainly answer those from anyone that has those questions. If it'll help you guys. So today we're talking about Measure 34-346, which is our public safety local option levy. This will be coming up in this November of 2025. This will be a replacement levy, so it's a new levy. We're going to talk about what this entails, but as you can see from the screen here, everything from police, prosecution at the district attorney's office, how we handle and deal with the mental health crisis within Washington County, the domestic violence and the wraparound services we're going to talk about here in a bit, and a lot of other services. So we'll dive right in. I know that we're a little, so make sure that we get all of these points. This is just an overview. We do see under that it's 66 cents per thousand of assessed value. It's really important, and most of you probably know this, but we want to make sure it's clear that this is not the, when you look at your home on Zillow or whatnot, any other website, it's not that number, it's the assessed value through the county line or through your county's webpage. And it will be a 5-year levy beginning in 2026. And the estimated tax will be $337 million in that 5-year period. So, in a sense, we're thinking of the chunk of services that we're talking about is that $337 million. When it comes to public safety funding, I like to think about this as a stool. So you have a stool with 4 legs holding the thing up. The first leg there is the county's general fund. The second leg is the Enhanced Sheriff's Patrol Districts. It's a geographic space within Washington County that pays an additional tax to be able to fund police services. That's another leg of the stool that holds the thing up. Federal, state, and other grant funding, that's another leg of the stool that helps us keep the ecosystem running. And then, of course, what we're talking about tonight, which is the public safety local option levy. It should be noted, you can see there that 16% of the county's public safety funds come from the local option levy. And so that's obviously divvied up in various spaces, but you might be thinking, we're in the city here, what's in it for me? Why does this apply to me? And the answer to that is that this is a county-wide service. So, for example, if a deputy sheriff out in the rural spaces of Washington County arrests someone, or a King City officer or Sherwood officer, they only have one jail. They only have one prosecution system at the Washington County DA's office. So that's it's important to know that all of these funnel through. So whether it's prosecution, countywide law enforcement, the single jail that we do have in Washington County, community corrections, parole and probation services, juvenile services, and support for domestic violence. So a full wraparound service, which basically includes anything that is in that criminal justice ecosystem. And it's really important to note that if you live, work, or travel through Washington County, that public safety local option levy will touch you in some way. Okay, if passed, what would this levy do? And throw up a hand if you can't hear me online. I just want to make sure that I'm speaking clearly there. So what will this do if passed? You can see on the screen there that it's talking about investigating crimes, thefts, car break-ins, graffiti. These are what in the business we term livability issues. So these are basic policing services, but it expands into sort of the follow-through and follow-up with that. You can see some average crime stats on the board there. It's not really to scare you. It's just to show that crime does occur, even in safe communities like we have, and it is critical that we're able to maintain our ability to keep that under control. You can see the enhancing prosecution of child abuse and child pornography, and I apologize for the difficult and heavy words there, but that is a very real problem, and it's a challenge across everywhere in America. But Washington County, we do have very strong services in that way. So I was actually a child abuse detective for a while, for some time, and I had a 22-plus caseload, and it's only gone up from there. So the detectives working on these and the follow-up and follow-through is a continuous challenge for us. And the way that we're able to stay on top of that is through this levy and other funding sources. Victims Assistance, so you've heard of the Family Justice Centers and other resources that we have. So you think back timeline, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, we would show up as police or the government, and we really had very limited tools. And there was a lack of follow-through and follow-up. What this allows us to do is to be able to reach out to those families that are harmed by domestic violence and really perform that wraparound service for all the community members immediately and then afterward and then in the time that follows after that. As you can see, it's increased 22% over the last 3 years, for an average of 4 per day. That last point there, talking about the dismantling deadly drugs like fentanyl and drug trafficking organizations, or DTOs as we call them in the business. You can see the point there of the last 3 years, the Sheriff's Office has seized 1.3 million fentanyl pills. You all have probably heard the mantra, one pill can kill. You've seen that out there in the communities. Well, if you take that just to kind of, wrap our heads around what the level of problematic behavior that is, and again, it's not to say that this is, a rampant issue specific to Washington County, but, we have humans here, we have a I-5 corridor, and we have challenges ahead of us, and the way that we can address some of these things are by these interagency, it says the Sheriff's Office, but really these are collaborative efforts across the county, including our city partners. Okay, our jail. So this is, our jail is actually the second smallest per 1,000 residents in the state of Oregon. So it's really difficult to think about that, but it's because we're certainly not the second smallest in size. So our jail, it's supposed to be a 572-bed facility. We are operating at less than that. And there are a lot of reasons for that. Some of those are urgent maintenance concerns that we've had. Some of it is staffing, but if you think of it, even at operating at full capacity, this levy does support a chunk of that jail to make sure that it keeps running. And again, that's King City, Sherwood, Beaverton. They all of those folks that go into police custody end up at the same jail. Mental health response teams. This is another interagency team. So this is a team where we have a deputy sheriff or a police officer in one seat driving a police car, and then right directly next to them is a licensed mental health clinician, so a master's level clinician. And these teams go out into the community and they can solve complex problems involving mental illness. So again, similar to a little bit ago, where back 5, 10, 15 years ago, the only tool that police had to deal with these situations was to arrest them, take them to jail, and we would have to sort of figure it out after that. What we've learned through that process is that there are a lot more appropriate means to not only handle the immediate situation, but get that follow-up and that wraparound care to be able to make sure folks are being taken care of out in the community. And again, this is a county-wide service. So here, if there's in the city of King City, if there's a mental health crisis emergency, and there's a deputy sheriff in Washington County that has the mental health response team rider, they would be able to respond out to all areas of the county. So it's a really collaborative effort. Okay, we're going to get into the money. How would it affect your taxes? We talked about this on slide 1, but again, 66 cents per 1,000 of assessed value. So on an average home of about $348,600 would pay about $19 per month, or $230 and some change per year. The slide doesn't touch on this, but it does say an increase would be about $6 per month. But we're talking about is a 19-cent increase. So right now we're paying 47 cents. This would be a 60-cent increase. The important thing to note is that because it is a replacement levy, the vote, or the thing going on the levy, is not just for the 19 cents. The vote is for all of it. So it's not a, do we want a 19-cent increase or not? It's a going from 47 to the 66. It's really important to know that it's a full replacement levy. And then again, we talked about the $337 million. So if you think about how much, just to kind of wrap our heads around how much service that is, it's $337 million worth of service. What happens if the measure does not pass? For my purposes, I will say that the services will not be provided, and the property taxes would not be increased. I'll leave it to the commissioner at the end to explain, maybe fill in some of those gaps of what would happen. And again, just in summary, I'm not going to go over all this stuff that I just talked about, but in summary, it's if you live, work, drive through, or travel into at all Washington County, this public safety local option levy does touch/impact you in some way. And with that, I will open it up for any questions.
My question might be for but I just wanted to clarify, you were saying that the vote is for the 66 cents. So if it doesn't pass, it's not like we go back to just maintaining 47.
That's correct. It's gone. That $337 million of service will no longer be in effect.
Gotcha. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
So just a couple thoughts to share with you. I mean, King City, as you know, we have a high 55 and over population. We have a lot of people on fixed income. Debatable. I saw the census report, but from where I sit, there's a few complexes in King City that are not over 55. A lot of them are 55 and older. And those houses right now are valued at higher than $348,000. We have a lot of people on fixed income. So we're looking at more than $230 a year already in taxes. And I understand the governor is also looking to increase income taxes and gas taxes. We're being taxed quite heavily on a lot of other things. I don't think the timing of this, I respect mightily what you do. My husband was a sheriff. I have a lot of respect. I want to make this abundantly clear. As I sit here right now, I'm not feeling inclined to approve this.
We're not approving anything.
I know, but I'm just saying for point of a discussion, I'm kind of just, letting you know that when you make your presentation, the houses here are valued higher than $348,000.
Thank you, Councilor. I really appreciate that. And I'll leave maybe some of that to the Commissioner.
Yeah, I think it's a very important point to make sure, again, and reiterate the fact that we're talking about the assessed value, not the property value. And many of the houses in King City are likely, and I can say this because properties in the area, they're likely not assessed at more than around that. We actually use that number because it comes out of the average assessment of the county tax and assessment office. So those properties are probably valued. The average property, I think, is valued at about $550 or $600. But its assessed value is the $348,000, which is what the tax is based on.
It's hard to raise taxes right now when taxes are being raised.
I agree, and
income tax is going up by the governor. Gas taxes are going up, and unfortunately, the timing right now is just not optimal. I am a big supporter of the police. Everyone in this room knows it. I support all the services, but I'm just very concerned because my income is not keeping up, and I'm a professional, and my income is not keeping up with all these taxes.
Yeah, we're going to have a conversation as a state, I think, around how we provide public services, whether we want to continue to live in communities that are well cared for, and whether we want to figure out how to pay for all the public services that many people seem to want or get upset when they're not provided but may not want to pay for. And that is a symptom of things going back to the mid-90s with Measure 5 and Measure 50, and I don't think we have time to sort of debate all that, but we're in a position now, because of Measure 5 and 50, where these come around every 5 years. So you'll see this now, and you'll see it again.
I have a question. You said something about right now in Washington County, you have 532 beds?
572. 572 is the max for the facility itself, if it was operating at full capacity.
And it's not operating at full capacity. At what percentage capacity is it running?
I don't actually know. It's a different division. I don't know the exact numbers of that, but I do know that 2 pods, what they call pods, are basically housing units of around 60 to 64 adults in custody are shut down currently. But that is due to, in part, in large part, by some urgent medical or maintenance issues, so some roof facility upgrades and those kinds of things.
Would this levy influence that? Would it increase the number of beds by very much?
The levy would not increase, this levy would not increase bed space. So what this levy would do is to be able to continue the current operating service. So once everything gets fully operational, if you imagine like the, let's say that the jail is operating at 100%, and this is just a number, but if it was 20% of the jail's operating capacity is funded by the Public Safety Local Option Levy, continuance of this levy would make the jail able to continue at the full capacity of service. They wouldn't lose that 20%, in other words.
It's not operating at full capacity mostly because of maintenance and other issues, not necessarily because we cannot fully fund the operations of the jail. But if this doesn't pass, we would start to be in a position where that would be at risk. The number I think we're operating is somewhere, don't quote me on the exact number, but somewhere between 370 and 390 beds right now, I believe.
I would assume, though, that we've got enough bad guys in this county to fill up those beds.
My patrol division would fill them as fast as we possibly could, and I'm sure the chief could say the same thing, so it's really a capacity
Can
issue.
you talk about the forced release process and what's happening right now? I think that
Absolutely.
would help answer that.
Yeah, so we have the way that the jail works operationally is the adults come into custody, and then there's a triage system to where even at full capacity, we just literally can't hold everyone, right? So there has to be a triage system. Well, because of the reduction in capacity, those forced releases are happening at a much higher rate. So we're actually reducing, I can't remember exact numbers, but it's in the hundreds plus, if not thousands, of people being let loose who really should be in jail. So in other words, a deputy or an officer goes out there, makes the arrest, takes them to jail, and sometimes even before their paperwork is back out in the street. So
Quoting DA Barton, it's about 60 people a week. I think it's been 2,400 people so far this year.
That you're releasing, that you're releasing back into the community?
that's correct.
That's outrageous. So I also want to make a statement. I'm 72 years old, and I don't ever remember there being a good time to raise taxes.
Right.
It's just something that we need to all look at as a state and in general. Also back to bed space. I was talking to Chief Hapla earlier today, and you have one bed space?
We have one holding cell.
Holding cell.
Yeah.
One more for us, all right.
Okay. So then, and we're,
They stay there a very short time. It's actually a storage closet, right?
okay.
We bring everybody directly.
And aren't we eventually going to be building you a new police station?
We will, but it'll never have a
Jail.
Oh, really?
It's always a temporary holding cell for people to process paperwork. The sheriff's office at times offers transport deputies that will be in the area, and they come out and they'll pick up our custody, so, which is, really helps us because we're a single car and single city working in the time, and so it allows us to stay in the city while we transport takes them out of jail, because it's an hour and a half, probably total time from time of going into custody to transport out and you're back and stuff, so it's very time consuming, so they provide an awesome, valuable service that never been better, and so it's just something that services.
So you really don't have room for overnight? Yeah.
We can't, yeah.
So maybe we could rent out a room, Penny. Make a little money on the side.
We do, it's noteworthy that because of ORS, Oregon Revised Statute, the responsibility of jail services does fall to the sheriff. So that's kind of another avenue, another reason for that. Temporary holding in the cities, just long enough to be able to get them to the sheriff's facility. Thank you, Counselor, and thank you, Chief.
I have a question. When was the last time you were at full capacity?
In the jail?
Yeah.
That is a really good question. I think probably before, I think the jail because of its constant turnover, people coming in, people going out, I don't know that it would be down to the minute, because one comes in and then another comes out. So in that sense, we're really never fully at capacity. But before COVID, before the urgent maintenance issues, the jail was operating fully functioning. I actually worked in the jail for 3.5 years at the beginning of my career. That's where I started before coming out to patrol. And when I worked there, all the pods were open, and there would be empty beds here and there, but we would consider that generally fully functioning.
I have a statement. I'd like to piggyback on what the other counselors have said. It's just not a good time to raise the taxes, especially in this senior community. It's really hard to be a senior citizen in Oregon. We're just getting slammed. That's my statement.
I'd like to piggyback on, obviously, we have to have a conversation, but I have watched other communities push out their senior citizens because of raising the taxes so much that they just can't on a fixed income, and their Social Security is not allowing them to, they don't have the money, scaring them, saying, well, if you don't pass this, well, then all the criminals are going to be coming to your house. I really would be careful because people are really just on fixed incomes, and it's not because they don't want to support it, they just can't. We have a duty, I'm elected.
I hate to interrupt because we do need to keep moving, but this again is going to be on a ballot for people to vote for. So we've been given the information, and there's, people are going to need to go ahead and vote how they are able to. But for the purposes of tonight, I think this was mostly just meant to be informational.
Well, is there any next step that you guys are looking for the council to do?
Nope, just presentation.
Yeah, giving information, and then if there's any operational questions that I can answer, I'd be happy to do that on the sheriff's behalf. And if that's all, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sheriff, counselors, thank you all.
Do we have a library levy presentation as well? Okay, perfect. Welcome.
Thank you. So thank you, Mayor and council persons. My name's Marnie Kyle. I am one of the assistant county administrators, and I'm here today to share for educational information about the proposed local library option levy. This is, let's see, do I need to, oh, there we go. There we are. Okay. So Measure 34-345, and as you just heard, as a public employee, I'm subject to political restrictions under Oregon law, and so I'm here to share neutral, non-advocacy information only. Oh. Great, thank you. In this presentation, I'm going to be covering how public library services are delivered in Washington County and the current funding. I will also talk about the proposed levy, which would fund, how much it would fund, or I'm sorry, the proposed levy fund, how much it would cost, and what happens if the levy doesn't pass. Oh, you're doing it for me. I'll stop clicking.
I was trying to fix whatever's going on.
Okay. Here in Washington County, library services are provided through a partnership between Washington County Cooperative Library Services, known as WCCLS, and 9 cities and 3 nonprofit associations that operate libraries across our county. WCCLS is the primary source of funding for local libraries and also provides central support services that efficiently link these independently operated libraries together, creating a countywide system that is available to over 600,000 residents. There are 16 full-service libraries in the county, from Banks in the northwest corner of the county to Sherwood in the south. In addition, our digital library is available 24/7 at wccls.org. In fiscal year 24-25, the local option levy represents 45% of WCCLS revenue, and the remaining 55% is a transfer from the county's general fund. The majority of WCCLS total funding is directed toward library funding allocations. about 67%. The remaining 33% of the WCCLS expenses are for central services that link the libraries together. In fiscal year 25-26, the local option levy represents 50% of the WCCLS funding. Should voters approve the levy, it would represent about 60% of the total revenue for fiscal year 26-27. So it's an increasingly important revenue for the library services. The levy would fund programs, resources, and materials that are designed to support student success with reading and learning. Some of the events and resources available to kids and teens include book clubs, Oregon Battle of the Book events, maker spaces, and STEAM programs. Libraries also offer resources to parents and caregivers, kindergarten readiness, test prep tools, and free access to fast and reliable internet. Over 10,000 students participated in library programs designed to support reading. The library would also fund central services that efficiently link libraries together. Library users can use the shared online resource catalog to access over 1.5 million library items, reserving them for pickup at any of the 16 libraries across the county. Also, WCCLS has courier trucks that delivered over 2.5 million books and other items to libraries in fiscal year 23-24. In addition, WCCLS provides online learning tools such as job hunting resources and downloadable ebooks and audiobooks, digital newspapers and magazines, as well as streaming videos available 24/7 to library users in multiple languages. The levy would fund open hours at 16 full-service public library locations across the county. Most libraries in the system are open at least 6 days a week and provide access to 1.5 million items in the shared collection across the system. Last year, there were over 2.4 million visits to WCCLS libraries, and total checkouts at the library exceeded 7.2 million. By borrowing items rather than purchasing them, the library users saved over $140 million last year. In addition to providing books and other materials, library buildings serve as cooling spaces for the community during extreme heat events. Libraries also provide free access to public computers, a strong, stable Wi-Fi internet connection, study rooms, and meeting rooms that help provide community members a private and professional space to do things like learn how to do job interviews. This levy would also fund children's reading events, including story times, some of which are offered in multiple languages like Spanish and Chinese. All WCCLS libraries offer regular events and programs for children, as well as annual summer reading programs. Libraries offer interactive play areas that promote learning and social interaction. In fiscal year 23-24, WCCLS libraries hosted over 200,000 participants at 6,000 different in-person events for kids and teens. So we also are getting to the slide about funding and money. If passed, Measure 34-345 would replace a 22-cent levy that is expiring in June of 2026. So our current levy will expire, and we would have no levy funding. The proposed replacement levy would be fixed at a rate of 37 cents per thousand of assessed value. Again, reminding you that assessed value is not the market value. So similar, we're using a similar number here. A homeowner that had an assessed value of $348,600 would pay about $129 annually, or about $10.75 a month. The annual increase in cost for the typical homeowner over the current levy, so compared to the current levy, is about $54 a year, or $4.55 per month. If the levy does not pass, reductions in library services will occur. These reductions would include reduced open hours, fewer books that would be purchased, fewer reading events, and reduced level of services that link libraries together. Some examples of the services that would be reduced include fewer ebooks purchased, a less robust online library catalog, less frequent deliveries between libraries, and disrupted access to technology. So thank you for your engagement, and I am more than happy to take any questions this evening.
I do have one question. How are the funds generally allocated between the different libraries?
So the funds are allocated, so we use a funding methodology where funds are allocated to different libraries based on the number, the service area, so the number of people that live within the service area. And it's also, we have estimated how many, in order to keep the library open, the minimum number of hours, so 45 hours a week, that would take X number of FTE. So it's a formula that we use to distribute the funds across. So
Generally, like the bigger libraries in the bigger areas get more fun, like it's,
generally, if you have a larger population that your library is serving, then generally you would get more funding.
So with this levy that you're talking about, so it'd be another $129 on top of the sheriff's levy, $230. I add those together, that's $359 total for a home that's assessed at $348,000. Am I understanding that right?
Yes, Counselor.
I think that's not the total increase. It's because we're already paying a certain level of it.
Correct.
So if I remember, you
Increase was
approximately
about
$5 a month.
It's about $4 or $5 a month, or $54 a year for the library levy, and I'm sorry, I don't remember for the. So the increase from what you're currently paying to the new levy is less than that amount.
Right.
But the total amount, you're right. Yes.
Put up there, if I'm getting the math right, so it comes out for the taxpayer.
The total amount.
$59. Just trying to do that, make sure I have it right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Do you have any idea how much money you spend on security for the libraries when they're open? I'm a library user, and there's always a lot of people at the library that aren't checking out books or using online resources. They're just inside getting more. At Tigers, they sit upstairs in the fireplace room and dry their socks. So you know, that doesn't feel like a library service, is that? But do you pay for security?
So,
and I know that they're all welcome. I'm just saying, everybody's welcome.
Right. So, WCCLS provides funding for basic library services, so open hours, the services that I kind of mentioned, and to support staffing. Cities also contribute to their library, so we're not completely funding 100% of the library system. I don't know, what security looks like at different cities, and I imagine it's different
I
for
can answer the
different
Tiger
cities.
security question. There's been no line item budget or really any money allocated while I was mayor or a city councilor to security at the library.
So do the employees feel safe there?
That's a great question that you could ask right now. I don't know directly involved in the city operation.
I can tell you just anecdotally that we have great relationships with local law enforcement and the sheriff's office. And for example, I can give you in Beaverton, I was part of a task force that worked with the library director there. We had the chief of police in Beaverton and the city leadership, and we talked about the homeless situation and what was happening near their library. And there was a really great partnership, and we were able to work with staff and work with patrons and do a lot to reduce what was happening there.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
I have a general question. You may not be able to answer this. How closely does WCCLS work with Washington County, public schools to share resources or books or what have you?
So I know, each of the libraries, because basically WCCLS, we support a lot of the centralized services, like the digital book collection and, IT services that the libraries need, and we pass the county funding to local libraries, so that the cities and the 3 nonprofit libraries. But I know that every single one of those libraries has relationships with schools within their library service area, where they're going out to the elementary school. We're supporting, purchasing books for them to take to the schools when they go and visit.
So a pretty close relationship.
Very close relationship, I would describe, very
Issuing
close.
library cards.
Yeah, library cards, yep.
Good. That's what it should be.
Trying to help them feel like welcome and come to the library and, yeah.
I know my dad, who lives in King City, spends a lot of time in the library. One New Tualatin or Tigard, and there's even asked some people to work there. But what he loves the most is using the computers and the music library that you have. Is that?
Yeah, so again, it's a partnership with cities. So the Tualatin Library and the Tigard Library are their city libraries, and WCCLS and this levy supports operation of those libraries. So it's a partnership with those cities. And yeah, I know, my dad was 98 and got to the place where, because he was an avid reader, got to the place where he couldn't read, and the audio books made a huge difference in his life. So yeah.
Well, you're doing a great service,
Yeah.
and I notice you're saving lots of money on papers and books that people like me buy, and
Yeah.
you just
Yes, I learned that lesson too. Yes, it's a change. Yeah, thank you for your time tonight. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item up on the agenda is our open forum. Ronnie, do you have a sheet for me? Open forum is intended to ensure the community has an opportunity to provide input for items being considered on the agenda or make suggestions, counselors, for future agendas. At this time, the council will be happy to receive your comments pertaining to items on the agenda, with the exception of public hearings for which testimony will be received in the proper form and manner at the time of hearing. Each person's time will be limited to 3 minutes. And we have a couple here, and then we will address online. So first up, we have Shylette. Would you like to come up to the podium? That way our online listeners can, just so our online listeners can hear you, because our microphone is right here. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, everybody. Hey, my name is Shylette Moi. I live in Edgewater, and the only thing that I come here for is the Fisher Road extension. And I will oppose that, and I still oppose that, and I will continue opposing that. We don't need it. Right now, Fisher Road, between 131 and the roundabout, we can hardly move. The traffic is like, I don't know, it's so we can't even pass each other. And something has to be done over there. I'm asking maybe if we can have one side of the road and no parking on one side in that area, because we can't pass each other there. So that's all that I have. Fisher Road, please, no Fisher Road extension. Thank you.
Thank you.
For your comments, Shylette. Next, we have Gretchen.
I know you have a second reading on the annexation matter this evening. I wanted to make a comment. I'm Gretchen Beener. I live at 16585 Southwest Royalty Parkway. I'm currently the chair of the Planning Commission, and we had a hearing on this matter in early June. Unfortunately, it has taken all this time to get to where we are with you guys. This is very important to get this taken care of. The annexation relates to some property that's totally surrounded by a prior development that has annexed. At the time when the development was happening, the owners of the property who owned the entire parcel chose not to include their immediate home. This annexation deals with their own home. They subsequently decided that they did not want to stay in the home. And so this development has already been approved for the remaining part of the property. This is just closing out that small section. So I hope you will get that passed tonight so that we can move ahead with development. Thank you.
Ronnie, do you have anyone online? If anyone online would like to make public comment, please raise your hand now. Okay, Christopher, Kyle, can you hear us? Please feel free to unmute yourself.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Perfect. Hi there. So I am also here to talk about the Fisher Road extension and the general TSP plan. When looking at this, I've looked at the proposal. There are a lot of issues that I'm seeing with it. We already have a high number of vehicles in our area. We don't really have the infrastructure to handle much more traffic. As was said earlier, due to the limited parking in our area, our streets are completely jammed with parked cars on both sides, limiting them to essentially single lane roads either way. Additional traffic is not going to be feasible for us. Additionally, within the community, because most of our homes do not have backyards or large side yards for children to play, they typically are playing on sidewalks or in the streets where able. Additional traffic would be a danger to the children in the neighborhood and is not really something that we want to endorse, right? We don't want to put anyone in danger. We don't want to limit anyone. There is a large population also of wildlife that lives here. That is going to be anything from deer to opossums, skunks, raccoons, etc. They go throughout our community down to the river and back up behind the school. Additional traffic would mean putting those animals also in danger and possibly having more accidents and collisions with cars, especially during early mornings or late evenings. I would highly suggest that we look at other alternatives rather than extending Fisher Road or extending any of the other items within the Edgewater community, and possibly looking at expanding Beef Bend Road, as that would be the main thoroughway basically through 99 all the way out to Roy Rogers. It's where the expansion's happening, and it would not only help the communities south, but it would help all the communities north that are up on the hill. So please just look at revisiting and try as much as we can to avoid extending Fisher. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christopher. If there's anyone else online that would like to make comment, raise your hand. Okay. Hearing none, we will go ahead and close open forum. Thank you all for your comments. Next item on our agenda, unfinished business for discussing compensation for pro tem city manager duties. I'm going to recuse myself of this conversation as my husband is a city employee, so I will hand gavel over to our council president to chair this discussion.
Okay, well, I wasn't prepared for this, but thank you, Mayor. I know that our city attorney has prepared a memorandum on this that I really appreciate that you sent it to all council, yes? Would you, help us, like...
I don't have a copy of it, I hope so.
I might.
Okay, maybe I should,
If you could just highlight maybe just a few items that you can...
Yeah, so, I did prepare a memo. At the last city council meeting, the council asked, for just a brief description of the duties of the city manager, which are plenty. Both your charter and your code include sections that outline all of the duties that the city manager has, and it's things
the city manager is responsible for. So the memo sets that out. I categorize them into 4 broad categories, and I encourage or ask the city council if they'd like to, thank you, Councilor Gearhart. If I ask the city council if they'd like to, because the acting city manager is not a full-time manager, when the council went the path of appointing a current city employee as the acting city manager, it's a part-time position, essentially. It would be, I think, helpful for the city to prioritize among all of these duties, what the council would like the acting city manager to focus on for the next 2 to 3 months until a permanent manager is in place.
So I have a couple of comments. I'm going to open this up for some discussion with the councilors here. But a couple of things come to mind. First of all, I want to make sure that we show our appreciation for the chief. Chief Hopala, thank you for, stepping up and coming on board to help us after the interim city manager. But I don't know how the assignments are getting funneled from the city council to the chief right now. So that's one question I have. How do we help him, help us, help the staff and make sure the cities are getting funneled properly and not just delegated to whoever? I notice we're getting communications from other people besides the interim city manager, which concerns me because it doesn't seem like the city manager is acting as a city manager. It seems like other staff are acting as city manager. It's causing confusion, and I want to make sure that we're all kind of on the same page on how this is going to work.
So again, the sort of broad categories of all of the duties that are in the charter and the code are to implement the council's policies, are many, and sort of the day-to-day work, to maintain council relations and keep the council informed, which happens at every meeting. We have a city manager report, and to manage city operations, all of them, budget and finance, land use planning, human resources, and economic development. I would suggest that numbers 4 and 5 on the list that I give you are very important, no doubt, but in a time of limited resources, those may be the ones that the city could back off of for a few months. And so I guess I would say, ask the council what they think about sort of prioritizing numbers 1, 2, and 3, on the general list.
Can you read those out loud again?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember
So,
what they were.
these are not from the, it's a huge undertaking to sort of take the charter and take the code and synthesize the similarities and the differences, but not one that we needed to do for tonight. So implement the policies established by the council, maintain council relations and keep council informed, and manage city operations. So those are the 3 that I kind of lumped all of the charter and code duties categories into. So I think it would be helpful because I want to call you Chief Acting City Manager, so I guess I'll just call you that. Chief Acting City Manager is not occupying a role as a full-time role because, again, the council decided to go that direction, totally justified. I think it would help to prioritize for him, to prioritize, if you agree with kind of focusing on the top 3 that I listed. And tonight is obviously a packed agenda, so I might suggest to discuss this a little bit, think about it until the next meeting, and then perhaps have a more thoughtful discussion after some reflection about this.
Is anybody else prepared to?
Excuse me, let me share it. Jan had her hand up. Did you want to make a comment?
Excuse me.
Okay, so, I read everything you wrote here.
I'm sorry, point of order here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilor Gearhart, that's just rude. the mayor has asked me to take over the chairing of this.
Carrie?
And I'm trying really hard to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm not trying to be rude to anyone, but the mayor usually calls on the table. Jan had her hand up. I didn't want to be rude to Jan.
Okay. I can give the to you, but I read all of this and I thought it was very, excuse me, very thoughtfully done. And just from a sort of a business owner management kind of perspective. Obviously, the chief's first responsibility is to be chief, and he's adding all of the rest of this. And so perhaps there needs to be somewhat of a hierarchy of taking particularly number 3 and delegate for him to say, okay, Max's sphere of influence is going to be these items, and Ronnie's these, and our new public information officer these will be her things. And then for us, the city council, we do need to go through the chief and say, Chief, I have this concern, and have him go to his 3 or 4 designated persons. And I know that Lieutenant Sigler has also sort of stepped in for you when you were unable to attend. Anyway, that's just my sort of framework thought. And I don't know if that's going to work. I'm done.
Okay, so, I'm sorry? Yeah.
I agree with Missy. The first 3 seem to be the most important. I'm also of the opinion that I think Brian does a lot of work. He assists you substantially. Would that be fair? I mean, the 2 of you guys make a pretty good team. And we talked about, or you addressed compensation in here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about that now? I think you recommended 20% over. I wonder if maybe 15% and give Brian Sigler 5 or something like that.
So, thank you. The way that the compensation, the council sets the city manager's compensation, but then the city manager really sets the compensation for all of the city employees. And as long as it's within the budget, the council votes, once a year on the budget that includes a compensation package for all of the rest of the city staff, including the city manager. So my advice to each acting city manager is that the council should be informed if he would like to, give somebody a work out of class differential is what it's called in the world. But that is not really, doesn't need to be a council.
Okay.
Thank you so
So
much.
that's why I recommended just,
Yeah.
I think it's clean to stay close to your memo, because I know that it's really correct.
Yeah.
I just want to make a few comments, if it's all right. First of all, I just think that we need to be working cooperatively, the council and the staff. We are going through a transition, and it's been really difficult for me as city council president to know exactly who am I supposed to talk to, how am I supposed to talk to that person. Lieutenant Sigler, for example, asked me to reach out to Erin directly and tell her what he wanted me to tell her. I don't know if that was appropriate, but that's what he told me. I didn't want to go to the chief because I know the chief's covering for the lieutenant and the chief and the city manager position. So I'm asking that there be some grace between the staff and the city council, because we're really still in this kind of no man's land, no woman's land of knowing how this is supposed to be working right now. And everybody has good intention. I have extraordinary hearing, and I don't know how I was gifted with that. But when people are whispering about city council members while we're up here from the staff, it's really upsetting, especially when we are really working hard for free. We're not getting a compensation up here at all. I would really wish people would just be a little bit more aware, a little bit more sensitive when they're saying things that can be taken unkindly. We're all trying our very best to support each other. I'd really like to see our new city council and our new staff really be supportive of one another and try to give the benefit of the doubt. And if we step on each other's toes, come and tell us directly. We don't need to hear through a third party that we step on someone's toes. Just tell us and tell us what we can do better. I know we will all do that. And I hope that the chief feels supported by the city council, and particularly me as president, to really support you and help you and guide the city in the right direction. So with that, do you want, I'm ready to make a motion.
I wanted to add something.
Yeah.
Charter is, actually, the council is very fortunate because the charter is very clear on how the city manager and the city council relate, and then how the city manager and the staff, and this guy sitting next to me is sort of like the person who's right here.
Mm-hmm.
So the charter says that council deals with the manager and the manager deals with staff, which is very lucky for the city. And I can tell you that not every city is this lucky. So I think, put on you to have a clear charter provision. I think that should provide the direction. And I guess my suggestion is, first, I'd kind of like to know what chief acting city manager, I would like for you to weigh in on this discussion also about what you think should be the focus of your duties. And then also, I think probably just affirm for the city council that you're never too busy, for a counselor to come to you, and they should not feel like you're too busy. And I think we do all just have to trust each other that he will let you know if he's too busy.
Is it okay to directly contact you, chief, or do you want us to?
That is the preference.
Okay, because I don't know.
Directly
Contact you, okay.
And then I can work through the rest of the staff.
Okay.
Because and I agree with 1, 2, and 3. And look, this is, and it's no joke, it is an education by fire hose. And it's all the stuff that we see here, you sit and talk. These guys try to explain everything to me, and I can see my eyes kind of spinning in the back of my head. And so I'm trying to learn as much as I can. And so a lot of me, even though I may not be saying anything, is I'm learning and I'm listening. And so it's something that, yes, I want the counselors to come through me with what you need and what you want, and then I can spread it through the staff. And one of the things, too, that I'm trying to do with staff, with Ronnie, Sarah, and Aaron, and Max, is they're professionals, and I'm letting them drop in the reins, and I'm letting them and seeing how they're doing with their work. And not being somebody that's, standing over shoulder, I'm letting them figure some things out. And are we going to make some mistakes? Sure. And they're doing a super job. I love the production that I'm seeing and how everybody kind of puts their heads down and goes to work, because we've got a ton of it. And so it's something that, yes, come to me, I'll spread it through the staff. Like I said, phone's always on. And if it needs to be a phone call or it's stopping by here, I'm here from about 6 in the morning until, middle of the afternoon. And so we try to get, I've got a lot of work. I got police work, and Brian's not here, I'm covering his spot. When I'm not here, he's covering my spot. And so, and to answer your question, just to bounce around for just a second, was my plan is to move him up and give him out of class pay and stuff. And so it's something that I'm going to do. And stuff, because he does a tremendous amount of work and he's very good.
Yeah, thank you.
And so, but getting back to the staff, and so that's probably why you see a lot of messages from different staff. Now, if y'all want to just hear from me, that's fine. I'll have them direct everything to me, and I can shoot it out. I hope that we wouldn't lose some things in the process, meaning, where, it's at the earning level and stuff rather than the pros levels and stuff. So, we can have reports to where they send it to me. I can send it out in a blast and say, here's what's going on, and, that I have the staff that's doing such a wonderful job. So if that's what we want, you just need to tell me and direct me to do that, and we'll do it. But I agree with, a lot of this is just making sure the day-to-day ops go well and stuff, because time of year with people on vacation, people gone doing a lot of stuff. And so all of a sudden, you look up and there's only 3 of us in the whole place trying to do things. And then we have, on top of that, we also have an open passport window where they get pulled away from their work, and it just kind of slows everything down a little bit. And so it's something that, you know, we're all kind of working our way through it. We're all trying to be teammates and sort of thing. So it's just, you know, I learn pretty quick. And so it's just getting stuff. And once I have the direction that you want to go,
I think it would be helpful if all communications came from you,
Okay.
because it's a good reminder to the rest of us to go only to you first.
yeah.
It gets confusing when I'm not criticizing anyone, it's just that when we're hearing from different people, it's a message that we should be corresponding directly, and then we're violating the proper hierarchy in our code. That's okay with you? I don't know how other people feel. Councilor Beatty, do you have some thoughts you want to share?
I mean, as far as that is awesome. And if that's the way we want to do it, then that's where we're going to put it.
Everyone agree with me? I don't know if anybody has a different.
I have a question. I think I heard from Missy that the city charter directs us to communicate with the city manager. It's very, very clear, and I've read it a number of times.
Yeah.
So I wonder if a tool like the organization chart, and I think Max and I were talking about one a couple of weeks ago, and you sketched one out real quick like, and it made sense to me. I wonder if something like that, you know, an organizational chart that everybody can see, that clearly defines, oh, okay, that's who's who and who's what and what they do.
I would hate to make more.
That'd be helpful.
But sure, if you want to do that. But right now, we just want to funnel through you, Chief, so we get used to talking directly to you. That we're doing things by the charter. And again, we're just trying to follow the rules and be polite and make sure that we're communicating just to you and you to us. I think I'm seeing a lot of nodding of heads, so I'm assuming that the consensus on the council is that. And again, if Vince has anything he wanted to add, I didn't want to put you on the spot, Vince, but I didn't forget about you up there. Did you want to say something? I don't know if you can hear me.
Can you hear us, Vince?
Hardly at all. You guys need to speak into your microphones.
Speaking into my microphone.
I'm not sure, Council President, if your microphone's on.
Yeah, I've been pushing the button.
Pull that mic back over.
Can you hear me now?
Oh.
I don't know, it wasn't working. Vince, do you want to say something about the chief's duties as our interim city manager?
Not right now.
Okay. If I can say something, since we haven't gotten to the compensation portion yet, we're just talking about communication. I want to 100% agree that our communication should be solely to the city manager and vice versa. So I do agree that it can be confusing when we get emails from a bunch of different people and then responding. Anyways, so for streamlining and to adhere to our charter, I am 100% on board with that line of communication.
And I'd appreciate Matt's email earlier today, too.
All right, well, it sounds like we're on the right track. Chief, thank you for giving us that. I have no problem making a motion to approve the compensation right now so we can adjudicate this, and if someone would like to second that motion.
I'll second that motion. And that was for 20%?
That is for the exact amount that our city attorney has recommended in her memorandum that she sent us. I'm sorry, I don't have, I meant to bring it with me and forgot. It was like $2,000 some dollars.
20%.
For 2007. So I'm repeating my motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve the amount that is put forth in our city attorney's memo for
2307.
2307 per month for our interim city manager.
And I second that motion.
Can I suggest that you, say the start date would be the date that he was appointed as acting city manager?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Ronnie, can you add, starting on the date that he was appointed as city interim manager? August 11th, 2025. So the motion would be, I make a motion that effective August 11th, 2025, we retro and currently pay the chief the 27, whatever it was, and,
20%.
20%, and,
It's easier to say 20%.
okay,
And
that's my motion, and Steve has seconded it.
Again, yeah.
Okay, so all in favor, raise your hand. It looks like it's unanimous. And, the mayor has abstained because of, recused and abstained. Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, next item on our agenda, moving on to new business, we have the continuation of public hearing land use, number LU 2025-05 annexation. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have a continuation of a legislative land use hearing from July 24th, 2025 related to the adoption of ordinance number O-2025-03, an ordinance annexing a certain tract of land approximately 5.27 acres in size with 100% property owner consent. I call to order the public hearing regarding ordinance number O-2025-03, an ordinance annexing a certain tract of land approximately 5.27 acres in size with 100% property owner consent at 7:21 p.m. The public testimony portion of the public hearing was closed on August 21st, 2025. Mr. Carter, please read the title of ordinance number 2025-03.
Ordinance number 2025-03, an ordinance annexing a certain tract of land into the city limits of King City and withdrawing the tract from the territory of Washington County and Sheriff District, Washington County, or change the zoning designation from Washington County future development 20 acres to King City development.
Does any member of the council have any ex parte contact they wish to disclose? Hearing none, does any member of the audience wish to challenge the jurisdiction of the council to hear this matter? Hearing none, does any member of the council want to disclose any actual or potential conflicts of interest? Hearing none, does any member of the audience wish to challenge any individual member of the city council? Hearing none, at this time, I would ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I move that we close the public hearing for, ordinance 2025-03.
No, you both. Okay, never mind, that's good. A second?
I'll second.
Okay, do we need a roll call vote for this, probably? Counselor Gearhart.
Yes.
Counselor, Cunningham. Counselor Tyso.
Yes.
Council President Braverman.
Yes.
Counselor Arditi.
Yes.
And Mayor Kazmersky, yes. Motion passes 6-0. I declare the public hearing for ordinance number O-2025-03, an ordinance annexing a certain tract of land, approximately 5.27 acres in size, with 100% property owner consent. Wait a minute, did I read that? Okay, so now we will discuss and consider approval of this annexation. Is there any discussion points? Councilor Gearhart.
I have no comment at this time.
Okay, Councilor Cunningham. Councilor Tyso.
I have nothing to add.
Okay, Council President Braverman.
Well, my only comment is that, again, I am concerned that we are going to be adding more homes and more traffic, and we still haven't really resolved the issue of the roads. So I'm hoping that we will get to that at some point.
Councilor Arditi.
Nothing to add.
Okay. If there's no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to either approve with conditions, or deny ordinance number O-2025-03.
I move that we approve ordinance number O-2025-03.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number O-2025-03. Now we will go to roll call vote. Councilor Arditi.
Yes.
Council President Braverman.
I think I'm going to abstain just because I need more information.
Councilor Tyso.
Yes.
Councilor Cunningham. Counselor Gearhart?
Yes.
Mayor Kazmierski, yes. Motion passes 501. Okay. All right, on to the next. We've got our council assignments. Now that we've got a full council, we're going to go ahead and redistribute council assignments. We already closed it. Yep, good, thank you. No, you're good, thank you. Okay, so, we don't need to run through all of these, right, at this point?
Please no.
I think we just need to add, we haven't added Counselor Olson or Counselor Cunningham to anything yet.
And then I would probably leave right now, you don't have a board with it.
Okay, so at this time, we have an opening. We had John Hartman on Metro Policy Advisory Committee. So Counselor Cunningham, would you mind taking that one? We also need a primary for Metro Council.
The same thing.
Okay. No, the one is the MPAC, Metro Policy Advisory Committee. And it looks like they meet via Zoom or phone every fourth Wednesday of the month from 5 to 7 p.m. Okay. Okay. And
The Metro Council Advisory Committee.
yes, MPAC.
And the what?
MPAC, Metro Policy Advisory Committee.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but how will Counselor Olson, will he just get what's left over, or do you want to wait until he's here to do that?
Good question. We can table it next month if we'd like.
I'm just asking, because I don't know what he wants to do or not do, or who he knows or not. I don't know what to say.
I can tell you what Mr. Olson has done in the past.
It should be on here, right?
Yeah, that information is in there from 2024. So Mr. Olson was the alternative for Metro Council. Mr. Olson was also JPAC.
Why don't we make him primary for Metro Council since that's an opening?
Don't you want to ask him?
He already had agreed to be an alternate, so hopefully he'll be fine with being a primary. If he has a concern, we can reopen it next month. Sure. I would also appreciate if somebody wouldn't mind taking JPAC off of my calendar. It is the Joint Policy Advisory Committee on Transportation, and they meet every third Thursday of the month from 7:30 to 9 a.m. Difficult with getting kids ready for school and everything else. So that would be wonderful. Okay, so let's add Counselor Cunningham to JPAC as well. And I think that pretty much covers all of our openings. So if we would like to revisit this at another date, we can, but I think we've got it all covered for now. Does that work, Ronnie? Was there any that you needed me to repeat?
On the very bottom, Greater Portland, have Jan Tyso as
Oh, yeah.
primary and Hartman as.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Ronnie.
For the Greater Portland, Inc., you're primary, but we have Hartman as alternate. Since Counselor Cunningham has taken primary on 2, maybe we just add Counselor Olson to alternate on that one. And then, again, if there's an issue and we need to rediscuss at a future date, we can. All right, I think that's it. Go ahead and move on. Next agenda item is to look over the June, July, and August 2025 financials. Katie, did you want to have the floor here?
I think she is. She can answer questions if needed.
Okay.
Am I talking loud enough?
Can Vince hear her?
Counselor Arditi, can you hear Katie?
Can you hear me?
No.
Can you?
Come up here.
No.
Sorry.
Thank you. We're gonna adjust. Okay, so yes, I do have Mira, so I don't know if you want to make it so she can't talk. Okay, thanks, Ron. Okay, can you hear me better now, Counselor Arditi?
Great.
Okay. Okay, so we have a lot here, June, July, August 2025. I will do a quick summary. Kind of the highlights that I wanted to point out is that, well, one, it's not audited yet, of course. So, and I will speak about the audit if you wish. There was a net increase in FY25 of the fund balance. So we actually went up about $14,000 from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So that's good news. Also, what that means is between what we budgeted for FY26 and what we're coming in as our beginning balance, we're actually $43,000 ahead. So when we had conversations, when we had conversations about, having funds in the budget for the new agreements,
How does that fare for us in general? Is that a good number?
that is very good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'd much rather be higher than lower. So I can also cover some of that when we talk about the supplemental budget, which I think is the next item. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. So all that being said, June and FY25 is a soft close. I would consider that a soft close, as we still have to finish the FY24 audit, which I'm told we're hoping the end of this month to have a draft report. I have no commitment from the auditors that that is the soft recommendation.
And that's a fiscal 2024, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe next month. Yeah. Okay, maybe. We had several back and forths last time, so if we don't get a draft to the end of the month and there's back and forth and management letters to do, it might be tight for me. I realize we're burning daylight here on the next audit. So, continuing to push. We're working with the auditors on a regular basis, much more communication than there was previously, so we're making progress. So, with the 24 audit, there could be adjustments that then roll into 25 that then need to be adjusted. So that's why I say that was kind of, but we are within budget. Like I said, we're bringing fund balances into 2026, so that's ultimately good news. I did want to pause for a moment and also talk about the software, because we've been talking about, is Casell the right software, getting you all access to the tool. I've kind of thought back on it and looked at my notes and thought about the fact that there was an RFP back in 2020. That was when the agreement was signed for Casell, because we had to get off QuickBooks. Can't go back to QuickBooks. That's not really a good auditable option for a city of this size. So we paid implementation fee. We did conversions. That lasted basically all through 2021. 2022, calendar 2022 is when we started really using Casell. Now, I've reached out to our account manager, which I didn't even realize we had at Casell, which is great. I will be meeting her in a few weeks in person with the Casell team when we go to some training, to a conference in Salt Lake City. And I've reached out to say, hey, we paid for training when we got the system. Can you clarify what we got in training? Because the staff doesn't really remember a lot of training happening. So I would never recommend leaving a system that I feel like we're not using to its fullest extent. Mm-hmm. So I'd love to talk to our account manager, see what training was provided. Is it possible to get any more hands-on training, kind of an audit of our system, so to speak, to say, are we using it to its most correct and fullest extent? I feel like Mira and I learn things pretty regularly about the system that, maybe someone doesn't say, and then you get on the phone with a different rep and they tell you like, oh, okay, clouds part and everything makes sense. So I do think that there is opportunity for efficiencies to be had. So I would like to go to the conference, talk to the account manager, see what training can be provided, and then only then make a determination if this is the right software, because I do think it's mostly about how you're using the software. Software. Everything's going to have a problem. It's never going to be perfect. But if you know how to use it, then probably okay. So did that answer your previous question?
Does it have a capacity, though? I guess I'm wondering for the city council. It's not privileged.
Yes.
Is that one of the questions you have?
Yes. I want to talk to them about the different levels of reporting access that are available. And I do believe it's available. We just don't want to kind of step over ourselves and do the wrong thing. I also want to suggest that we schedule a working session where I can do a screen share with the council to show you simply, this is what I see. Because I really want to make sure, it was brought up months ago, I think Randy brought it up, wanted a little bit more detail in these monthly financials. There's a bunch of detail available. We don't want to overwhelm. We want to make sure we provide what's appropriate for the level of the council to see. You know, are there things that you can access on your own? So I want you to see what we see. Historically, invoices are not actually attached, like confidential information to that extent isn't in the system. So we should be able to get you access to be able to run reports. It's very slow, just to warn you. It's a hosted system. It's just, there's a lot of transactions.
In your expertise, because I really respect it, is there other software that other cities are using with maybe a little bit more support, or that you feel would be our next consider if this exploration with Casella doesn't work out?
I do have the name of another software that's used by some other cities. There are other cities using Cassell. In fact, we reached out to one a while ago. I think it was Philomis, because we saw that they were using those reports and we had asked a couple questions of them. There's also modules that some cities need that we don't need. So it's not necessarily always apples to apples. Like if we look to see what the city of Tigard is using, they're going to be on a whole different level. Yeah. So it's definitely better than QuickBooks, but I don't know. We're definitely not using all of its functionality. So is there a system that maybe that's more user-friendly, that doesn't, it's not as robust for a city like ours? Maybe. So, but again, I don't really think it's fruitful to go down that path until we really get our arms around the system that we have, to really see what are the holes, what do we really need it to do that it can't. So.
I hope you don't mind me interrupting you.
No, go ahead.
I know that the mayor and I had tried for months. We did put in record requests galore. We wanted to see the attorney fees and costs that we had spent, you know, last year and this year, and kind of see like what could you advise us? I mean, I still would like to do that. I still haven't.
If I could interrupt, I think our Missy has already requested and received a bunch of that, and will be providing potentially next month.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. No, it's very valid question. I just had that answer for you, so I figured I would.
And I hope you know how much we all appreciate what you're doing. I was just curious because I'm so excited.
That's totally valid. I was kind of on my list to discuss as well. We even, apologies, I can't recall if it's actually in the whole packet. We provided a little summary of attorney's fees, kind of by attorney, not necessarily, you know, in level detail. We do, typically, in my experience, I'm not trying to throw shade on attorneys at all. I love them all. I have clients that are attorneys. No, I love them all. Invoicing can be delayed. You know, we just got an invoice from July, and it's mid-September. It is very common. I see it all the time. So you will see, while our months are still open, we prefer to put expenses in the proper period, so that we don't actually close the month officially like maybe a public company would, or quarterly. So what you'll see, what we've even seen in August so far, is what I've given you for August financials is going to be short on some legal fees. So as we get them, we'll record them. So what is most important that you're looking at on the financials every month is more of a year-to-date. Yeah. So if you're comparing kind of month over month, you might say, wait a second, that year-to-date math doesn't work. That can happen. So these are the types of things I want you to be aware of when you're looking at the financials, that there can be prior period adjustments. And that can happen especially with legal fees. I will put a pin in this for a moment, but we did, in the supplemental budget, we did increase the legal fee budget. So we'll get to that next.
Can I ask you a question?
And that was something that I want. Yes, please.
This is Vince. I'm talking to you from the internet. I'm looking at Peter Watts's fee. That's a cumulative of $66,000 as of June 2025.
Mira might be able to answer better. Because I have not seen the invoices. I think it was a multi-period payment. Oh, great.
I can answer that, Counselor. I don't know if you can hear me. This is just one of the things that I'm tracking down and then preparing to give the City Council a comprehensive a review of. In 66,000, Peter Watts, billed in arrears, and so that was a period from June 2024 through May 2025. It was an 11-month period that he sent the city a bill for in May 2025, and the city paid it in June 2025.
I thought he was fully getting, I thought his contract was $6,000 a month.
Right, and it was 11 months at $6,000 a month.
Okay, so that adds up.
I'm curious why it wasn't a monthly, like why it's all,
A lot of smaller firms. Really?
Is any of
We
it,
would never do that. We would never do that.
yeah, okay.
None of the other lawyers do it, but every lawyer.
Not coming to me that
Sorry,
area.
Counselor Didi, you had another comment. Sorry to cut you off.
any of that money still outstanding?
No, there's no outstanding. That was the last one.
That was
Can
paid
you hear me?
his death?
That was the last one.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yep.
That's all I have.
I did have one question.
Please.
Because I was looking through, I mean, it is interesting to get 3 months at a time and like
Yeah.
compare. So I did, when we had set the budget for 26, we did add, it was 116,000 in the city manager budget line item. And I had a question at that time, like, what is that for? It wasn't super explained that I recall. But then looking at the June financials, finishing out the year, the city manager had only spent, it was like 457,000. So there's like $227,000 increase from what was actually spent through June to then like what is now budgeted for them. So in the city manager budget currently that was approved is $684,000.
Yes.
So that was an increase at $116,000 over last year. But then when I looked at the end of last year, which would be June, correct?
Yes.
He had only spent $457,000, which was, you know, $100,000. So there's $227,000. So I'm just,
Yeah.
do we know what that increase is going to be used for? Is that just kind of money now that could be, and I think Chief has already,
We know that one.
has already,
It's actually for Aaron's position,
okay,
and that's because the position was to be hired several months before, and it took a couple collisions into our heads to figure out that Aaron is our person. And so it took a while.
so is that what the city manager budget is for other salaries?
There actually are. It's,
Okay,
for Ronnie, for the city manager's position, the PIO position was coming out of there,
okay.
and a bunch of other administrative costs, such as a $10,000 copier, or, you know, these sort of things. It's kind of a catch-all, but there are some major, the $400,000 to $500,000 is basically going to be for salaries. Or multiple.
That would have been a wonderful explanation back in May when I asked the question. Okay, thank you. All right, that was my only question on the financials.
And I don't know off the top of my head, I know there was, in the FY '26 budget, there was also new office space. Do you remember that conversation?
Yes, we had approved
And
that.
we've actually, as part of the supplemental budget, I keep skipping ahead.
Well,
but it's-
because I need to recuse myself of something.
Okay, but we pulled some of that out of that budget, so you'll see in the supplemental that go down.
So a couple of questions. Are we still renting the space that we don't have anybody in there, right?
No, they're trying to get out of the lease.
Trying to get on the lease, which I remember I didn't approve it because I didn't even, there's nobody to be in there. So it'd be nice if we can get out of the lease.
If that is the direction that the council wishes to go,
Have to vote on it.
yes, we can.
Okay.
They basically have stated to us that if they find somebody that wants to use the space,
We have to mitigate
we,
damage.
we come out of it. But we are currently paying rent
Okay.
for it, and so it's a little cheaper in the first year, and it goes up, you know, exponentially kind of after that. But yes, we can get out of it if that's the direction the council.
I think that that's definitely an item for the next agenda, but we would, I would like to also, I mean, there was a reason that we approved it to begin with. We have added people since then, so it would be good to get that full picture of what it looks like to keep it, how we could use it. or does it actually make sense to get out of it at this point? So I do think that's a future agenda item.
I have another question. I agree with the mayor. I don't remember when it was recently. Ronnie, you were here. We had the audio guy here who was gonna make the audio better, and I negotiated an extension on his warranties. And wasn't that like 2 or 3 months ago? Like, where are we on that?
I believe it was in August, that we.
It was in August,
and,
It seems longer.
it does seem longer. It was in August, they are working on it.
Okay, do we have like a?
I'll do it during staff report.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, let's keep this just, any other questions particularly for June, July, August financials? Councilor Gerhart, anything else?
You're doing it.
Counselor Cunningham, do you have any questions about these financials? I know that you're like brand new to all of this.
Well, I'm not brand new to budgeting,
Well, no, but,
yes, I've got the general
do
drift.
you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay.
Thank you, sorry.
Counselor Tyso, do you have any further questions?
At this point, no, I do not. I'm sort of eager to see when we get the adjusted, financials for 2024 fiscal year.
Counselor Didi, did you have any other further questions about financials?
No, I'm done, thanks.
Okay.
When are you going to Utah? What's the meeting at, and when's our next, update from you?
2 weeks from Monday, and so 6th, 7th, and 8th of October.
You'll be here for our October meeting.
Right.
All right, at this point, let's go ahead and, we'll entertain a motion to approve these financials.
I make a motion that we approve these financials,
June, July, August.
July and August, 25.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second to approve June, July, and August financials. Counselor Arditi?
Yes.
Council President Braverman?
Yes.
Counselor Gerhart?
Yes.
Counselor Cunningham? Counselor Tyso?
Yes.
And Mayor Kaspersky, yes. Motion passes. 6-0. Thank you, Katie.
I think I'm the next one, too.
Okay, and next up is supplemental budget that I am going to recuse myself of because my husband is a city employee, so I will hand you the gavel again for supplemental budget.
Okay.
I just want to make a quick comment though, let's be cognizant of our time because we are at 7:47.
Yeah, so hopefully, should I go?
No, please,
Okay, okay.
don't rush. I mean, the
Okay.
mayor's correct, but we want to be thorough, and we don't want to make a mistake, and we don't want to shortchange your time.
What I can say is there will be more supplemental budgets, especially after approval
Can you
in this
explain
meeting.
to us the why it's a supplemental budget, and so for some of our newer councilors, how does it come about, and what's your recommendation?
Well, this particular supplemental budget came about based on the latest union negotiation contract, so we discussed the adjustment in the budget that would be needed, which at the time of the conversation, we had estimated around $18,000. The good news of that is that, so if you can see in the supplemental budget page, the line item under street fund that says contingency, that's where we're kind of pulling from funds that weren't previously spent. So it's about $9,000 of, quote, contingency funds that are being used for this. So that's the good news, is that $9,000 is all that's getting pulled out of the, quote, contingency. And remember, we're $43,000 ahead of where we thought we were going to be as well. So we didn't know that when we were doing the supplemental budget, so that will be another supplemental budget that we'll do to adjust the beginning balances. But we're going to wait for the audit to be done. So what you're also going to see in the general fund is materials and services going down. Part of the reason that materials and services is getting updated is because we did increase the legal budget. We knew there was going to be more legal fees. We've burned up a lot of legal fees this year already, so we increased the legal fee budget within the city council budget. We also decreased that extra office space. So the assumption is that we won't be moving into that extra office space. We'll get out of that lease or get some money back from it. And then there's the offset of the additional increase for the wages that we discussed before. So ultimately, it's a very small change. It doesn't require another hearing. It's just a council approval. Again, I will say we will be doing another one, but we wanted to make sure that this was formally approved because retro bonuses are going to be, what's the word, contract signing?
It's just bonus.
Yeah.
It's really past compensation for money
Yeah.
that I've got.
So we just wanted to make sure that the money's going out was supported in the budget. So it's a formality, but if anyone else has anything to add.
Do any of the city council members have any questions for Katie?
But we do supplementals quite often, don't we? 'Cause I remember going to all these meetings, there's always been a supplemental budget.
Yes.
So it kind of,
We should do one every meeting, maybe quarterly. As anyone who's ever worked with budgets or accounting knows, as soon as you set a budget, the very next moment it's obsolete. Just kind of our world.
you should see my checkbook.
Uh-oh.
So Katie, because of the extra $49,000 you recommend us approving this, or should we wait till the adjustment with that number?
I recommend approving this now because there will potentially be more adjustments that we can lump together, more as a formality to make sure that the beginning balances are correct and we can track it properly going forward. So, yes, I do recommend that this be approved.
Are there any other comments, questions, discussion from council at all on this, or are we ready to approve the supplemental budget?
I would move that we approve the supplemental budget as it stands today.
Do we want to go down the line, Marty, or kind of wait for that? All in favor? Okay, a voice vote, all in favor. Councilor Arditi, are you in favor? Can hear you. Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Councilor Gerhart,
Yes.
Councilor Cunningham,
Yes.
Councilor Tyso,
Yes.
Vice President Bergerman, yes. One abstaining, recusing.
All right, moving right along, we have a Domestic Violence Month proclamation that I am going to read. Whereas I read the whole thing, right? Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay. Sorry, I thought you were handing me something different. Okay. Whereas domestic violence is a serious crime that affects people of all races, ages, gender identities, socioeconomic levels, religions, backgrounds, beliefs, and abilities, but often has a disproportionate effect on communities and groups impacted by inequity. And whereas domestic violence includes physical, emotional, social, sexual, spiritual, financial, and digital abuse, and can occur between family members, intimate partners, and within dating relationships. And whereas more than 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men in the United States report having experienced domestic violence, stalking, sexual assault, or physical assault by an intimate partner during their lifetime. And whereas domestic violence impacts vulnerable victims, including children, as approximately 50% of Washington County children who are child abuse victims also live in homes with domestic violence. And whereas multiple scientific and medical studies show that trauma, especially for children who experience what is known as adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, increases the likelihood that the individual may struggle with addiction, mental health, or other challenges later in life. And whereas the Family Justice Center and Domestic Violence Resource Center provide crisis services to survivors, and whereas our Washington County community has united together to address the impact of all forms of family violence, including domestic violence, child abuse, and neglect, and is working to establish a new facility called the Family Peace Center of Washington County. And whereas domestic violence incidents are some of the most complex and dangerous incidents that law enforcement respond to in our community, putting their lives at risk every day on the behalf, in the belief that a coordinated community response is necessary to support survivors, hold offenders accountable, and work toward ending the cycle of violence. And whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month provides an excellent platform to show support for the domestic violence advocates, crisis hotline staff, victim service organizations, the prosecutors who hold offenders accountable, and law enforcement officers in our community, and provides the citizens of Washington County the opportunity to learn more about preventing domestic violence and show support for the numerous organizations and individuals who provide critical advocacy, resources, hope, and assistance to victims. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Rachel Kazmersky, Mayor of the City of King City, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2025 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Thank you for bearing with me. Next item on our agenda is our MACC Comcast Cable Franchise Renewal Extension Resolution. Perfect. Online? Okay. Thaddeus, if you can hear us.
I can, thank you.
Awesome.
Well,
Welcome.
good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. Thank you for the time. As you can see, you have the MAC report. I assume you've read that thoroughly. It's pretty much explains everything you need to know with our franchise with King City, as well as 14 other jurisdictions that we administer Comcast franchises with. This is really a formality. It's just keeping the franchise operating as it is. We're looking for an extension for 1 year, and we expect that it will be wrapped up before then, but we're just asking for approval from each of our member jurisdictions to extend that franchise for the negotiations to continue.
I think I saw in there that the current one ended in June. So how has that affected? Has that affected anything before our vote to extend?
It does not affect anything. Sorry. No, it doesn't. It continues as it's always has been for the last 10 years. So this is just basically business as usual. We're just pushing it out another year as we continue to negotiate with Comcast and legal counsel. So it's just a matter of continuing to keep our ducks in a row, or getting them in a row, if you will.
Okay, so you simply need us to approve an extension for you to continue negotiations.
That is correct.
Do any counselors have a question for Thaddeus regarding the Comcast cable? I'll go ahead and start with Counselor Dede. Do you have any questions for Thaddeus?
No,
Okay, Council President Braverman.
Why is Comcast charging us so much money for internet services in a senior community? Can you help me understand that?
You know, I would love to help you understand that. Unfortunately, MAC regulates the cable television franchise portion of it, whereas the internet becomes a little bit more of a Wild West situation. What happens is, and I'll try not to get into the weeds here because I know it's late, but essentially that cable franchise allows Comcast to then also operate in your rights of way with their internet or their broadband equipment. And that operation is, again, outside of our purview. So as far as rates, controlling rates, we can't do that with cable either. But yeah, I can't really answer anything to those rates continuously climbing. But I certainly understand your issue there.
Well, it doesn't seem like there's much competition, so it looks like Comcast has the monopoly in our jurisdiction, and I'd like to see more competition and competitive rates. I don't know if I'm understanding at that level here, but I just want to hope you can bring that back to your people.
Well, sure. I think Ziply Fiber might operate in King City. I know that we worked on the transfer. They had a cable television franchise. They are an internet company or a broadband company, essentially. I do believe they operate in your jurisdiction as well.
Correct. Yep.
So,
Counselor Tyso, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. Counselor Cunningham? No. It sounds like at this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve Comcast cable franchise renewal. Oh, I'm sorry, Counselor Gerhart. I know, right through. Sorry, did you have any questions?
Actually, none.
You would. Okay. Hey, now would somebody like to make a motion to approve?
Your own motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve this resolution R 2024, what is it, number?
-02.
02.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All righty, let's go to roll call vote. Council President Braverman.
No.
Okay, Counselor Arditi.
Yes.
Counselor Gerhart.
Yes.
Counselor Cunningham.
Yes.
Counselor Tyso.
Yes.
And Mayor Kazmersky, yes. Motion passes 5-1. And
Chief Acting City Manager wants to appoint.
It should be 2025, not 2024.
It should be 2025-02. Did it?
Oh, yeah.
We need to amend our motion.
So I'm going, which, Ronnie, we have to put it back up again?
It is, 2025-02.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 2025-02.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Counselor Arditi.
Yes.
Council President Braverman.
No.
Counselor Gearhart.
Yes.
Counselor Cunningham.
Yes.
Counselor Tyso.
Yes.
And Mayor Trevorski, yes. Motion passes 5-1. All right, I think we got it that time. Thank you for that.
Great,
Next
thank you.
item. Thank you, Thaddeus. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
with us. Next item on our agenda is a discussion on TSP next steps. At our last special session, we followed it up with a work session where we got a wonderful presentation by several members of the community, and we, as a council, I believe, are committed to moving forward with what the next steps are for the TSP. So the purpose for tonight is to be able to direct staff in what should be done next. I want the community to know that we have heard you loud and clear that an amendment needs to be done. I would like to start by saying that there are people who do not want Fisher Road extending at all. So I think that we should start off with a priority list, and our number one priority should be, is there a way in which that could be accomplished?
Well, I think we have a point of order. I think we're ahead of ourselves. We don't have a motion.
I'm still making a comment. We're opening discussion.
Well, there is, because we.
Council President, we're on discussion on TSP next steps, and I'm making a statement on what I believe the next step should be, and we will open for discussion before we vote on anything.
But you said that we had an agreement last meeting, and we didn't have one.
It was correct. It was a work session that decisions are not made out of. But as a council, I believe that we are all working towards a TSP amendment. And the purpose of tonight is to discuss what the next step is in getting that process moving, because it is going to be a big process. So we need to outline how we get started. And it's an important thing that now we all discuss together as a council what we want to see happen. And we're going to get input from our city attorney, from staff, at what feasibly is our next step. I would like to say that I want to make sure the community is heard, and there are proponents for no Fisher extension. So I believe that should be our first priority, is looking into what would it take, if at all possible, for that to happen. And so now I would like to open the floor to discussion. Since we are already at 8:03, we are going to adhere to rules of discussion, and we'll give each counselor their 5-minute time before we start back over. So I would like to start with Counselor Gearhart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So last November, there's 4 of us on City Council, and last November, when we were running, we all said the most important issue before us was listening to the people of King City. We said that over and over and over. We all said it. And I believe last month at the meeting, we had an opportunity to fulfill that promise to the community. I heard very loud and clear, thou shalt not extend Fisher Road. So I am in that camp to make sure that we update the TSP and exhaust every avenue that we can to make sure the Fisher Road does not go through.
Counselor Cunningham?
I agree with him. And I want to add the fact that I also believe that we talked about not taking any roads through Bankston Reserve. So I think that's our second priority. I am, thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Tyson?
Okay, I will be fairly brief. Also, at the last meeting, Garrett Rosenthal from Metro was sitting here and had suggested strongly that we invite Metro staff to help us work our way through this process. So I'm going to say that probably one of the very first things that we need to do is to find a way to get on Metro's calendar to have them come so that we can have a workshop that is with an outline that can tell us what we can and cannot do, because it's great to say, okay, we're going to, upend the TSP as we know it. And I'm not opposed to that, but it needs to be done so that it is legal and to the best of doing what we can and knowing what we cannot do. Because, and also the dollars and cents that are going to be attached to that, and where is the money going to come from, and it will fall on the citizens that live within the city limits of King City, not those who live in the urban growth boundary. And it's not a negative to say, but I think it's important that everybody realize that we as the city council, first and foremost, have to represent the people who live within the city limits. And we've been talking about the burdens of property taxes, and how do you say this? There's a lot of things that we would like to do within the city, and so then you end up upending the budget and saying, okay, we don't have things to help people with sidewalks. We can't fix potholes. We can't keep our parks maintained, because all of this money would go to changing the transportation system. And I know that I'm sort of painting kind of the worst case scenario, but I think the worst case scenario needs to be out there, not just like, oh, well, we'll just figure this out. Or it's not going to be a big deal, because it could be a very big deal. And I think without Metro coming here and letting us know, and also our very capable council sitting here who has land use experience can probably say a whole lot more than I can. Anyway, I'm done.
President?
I didn't think that we had a motion to relook the TSP, which is why I asked point of order. I think it's out of order to discuss our next steps when we haven't, as a council, made a motion and a passing that we agree to relook the TSP. So I'd like to make a motion. It sounds like I'd like to make a motion that the council will, that we relook the TSP and now discuss the next steps.
I'll second that.
So who's all in favor?
Councilor Arditi, did you hear? The motion on the floor is that we are agreeing to relook at the TSP as a council.
I haven't had a chance to make my comments yet.
Council President Braverman made a motion during hers, and so now we have a motion on the floor that that has been seconded, which is just to make a commitment to be looking at the TSP relook.
And then we can have a discussion.
Sorry?
Vote?
Yes.
Okay, I'll vote yes. And then I want to make my comments after you take the vote, please.
Yeah, we're not done with this line item. Thank you, though. Councilor Gearhart?
Yes.
Councilor Cunningham? Councilor Tyso?
Yes.
Council President Braverman?
Yes.
And Mayor Kuzmersky? Yes. Motion passes. And now we will continue our discussion on the TSP next steps. You have 3.5 minutes remaining.
Sounds like.
She's still in the middle of her discussion.
So the points that I want to make are, I agree that we need to look at the TSP and we need to weigh carefully how it is presented. I don't want one party guilted into one position to save another. I think we need to look at all options. I'd also like to recommend a neutral party, not somebody has skin in the game or has already had skin in the game, to help us look at all neutral options that have not yet really been reviewed. For example, I keep hearing that there's no other alternatives, but I'd like to see what are the alternatives. I've heard different things that someone said, oh, well, if we go this way, we have to take out houses. But if you go through Fisher Road, you're basically taking out over 500 houses because people won't be able to commute, children won't be able to play. So we really need a neutral third party that I'm hoping somebody could recommend to us that could really help us map out and see, and really look at all the options. And as Jan mentioned, yes, we have to look at the cost, but we also have to weigh the cost of not doing this neutral party and reviewing what our options are. I just want to say one thing. I'm really proud of our city council for being brave enough to go down this passage, and a lot of people trying to scare us, saying it's going to cost $1 gazillion and penny, the sky is going to fall in if you look at the TSP. I think we have a duty to go back and redo some of the wrongdoings that were done in the prior administration, the prior council. And the last comment I have to make is about Edgewater. I do disclose that I am an Edgewater resident. I own property in Edgewater. I'm Edgewater's HOA president currently. Edgewater has been left out of the equation. People say, oh, they don't want to come, they're not here, we never hear from them. I want to remind people that Edgewater has been misled. Edgewater has been threatened as the only community where eminent domain would be done if they didn't just do what the past administration told them. Edgewater has not been, when they've come and they've protested, they have not been adhered to, they have not been listened to, they have not been respected. I find that to be very unfortunate to whether I live there or not, I find that to be very unfortunate, and I hope this council will include Edgewater, include all communities, and treat all of our residents equally under the equal protection, and treat everyone with kindness and respect. That's it.
Councilor Edie?
Well, I agree with a lot of what Jessica just said, and I want to recall a specific little comment I received from one of our constituents. Janine Mosgrove wrote this to me. I don't know if she wrote it to you guys, but she lives on Beef Bend Road, and basically what she's saying is I feel now, I'm going to read you a little bit of this. I feel now that it's the time to start sympathizing with all the many residents who live along Beef Bend Road. Based on what I'm reading, it sounds like we beef benders might be sacrificed to make the Fisher Road residents happy. I would like to see a solution, if there is one, that would accommodate most King City residents. Right now, I live here, I live in the Highlands, I see this every day. What's going on is whether the road connects through the Edgewater development or not, people are still accessing Fisher from Beef Bend because they don't want to wait at the stoplight at 99. I've lived here for 12 years. It's getting worse, and it will only get worse because people will take 131st down past Deer Creek School, which they are doing now in droves to access Fisher. That's how it is. Now, if you don't want to go that way, you go another block and you cut through Prince Albert Street and you go through the original King City and you go past the 7th hole of the golf course and you find yourself right in the backyard of the shopping center right there. Everybody does it. At 5 o'clock on any night, it's a steady stream of traffic going out that way. So we need to be cognizant of all the people that live in all these other areas because these are all cut-throughs. And at some point, they're all going to have as much of a voice as everyone in Edgewater and everybody in Rivermead and everybody else has had. That's just how it is right now, and it's only going to get worse. So I agree with Jessica. We need to start finding some solutions that may not please everybody, but at least will address and give everybody some sort of fair opportunity to say what they want. That's it.
Well said. Well said. Thank you. Now I would like to ask council for.
Well, I can start. So obviously I'm new to the city. This is very interesting. To amend the TSP, I can just sort of walk you through what is going to be required. The amendment will have to be supported by what's called an adequate factual base, really substantial evidence, and that's under statewide planning goal 2. What that means in practice is that the city will need to hire a transportation consultant, much like for the first creation of the original TSP. Which is great, and that transportation consultant will do a lot of modeling about full build-out of Kingston Terrace, the new area, and they're going to model the traffic numbers on East Bend and the other streets. And they're going to which one of 4 or 5 options is going to, if they'll cause any roads to fail, which is a term of art, which means that a level of service, I think it's D, is D-Bend.
Yeah.
Which is really shocking, actually, that you can have a D grade and still be not failing, but there you are. The other thing that Goal 2 requires is coordination with other governments. And so Washington County will get notified that this is the path that King City is thinking about. I anticipate they will have some things to say. I think Tigard,
Sherwood.
all of the neighboring jurisdictions are within the coordination requirement. Who am I forgetting?
Metro.
Okay. Metro. The other requirement is that the LCDC has adopted a massively confusing set of transportation rules. Okay, this is the Land Conservation Development Commission, LCDC. They have a lot of rules about when you amend your transportation and what it has to do and what it has to show that it can't do. And the transportation consultant is really the person that's on point for that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask Max what I'm missing, because this is just sort of off the top of my head.
Covered it as well.
Okay.
So the transportation land use goal and the regional transportation plan, which is a metro regional plan that the city is forced to adhere to, has certain aspects in it that require networks of streets. So one of the primary, and excuse me because I'm a little bit confused from the messaging of the council, because I've heard in the past that the Bankston easement was the primary focus. I don't see any issue or any reason that we can't eliminate that from the TSP. I'm not a traffic engineer, but I think there are ways to network it and not have an issue. However, I think it would be a much harder argument to make to the state and to Metro to not connect Fisher to 137th. And also, if we're talking from a standpoint of Unite King City and building relationships with the folks from the UGB, but we don't even have a road that connects to the UGB, that doesn't really illustrate that kind of unity.
I'm finished. We'll do another round of discussion.
And it would also be very difficult to make that argument that the King City cannot connect to the UGB directly. I really appreciated the residents that reached out to Vince Arditi, because the problem, and I talked to Washington County earlier this week, was that East Bend Road can be extended from Southwest 137 to the west, but it can't be really extended from 137 to the east without displacing hundreds of homes. It's already pretty much at max capacity, including homes in King City, like the condos over on Crown Drive. So there has to be a way to satisfy as many people as we can, create a connective system that allows people to go from one side of the city to the other. Not everyone's going to be happy, but we also have to satisfy requirements from the state, requirements from Metro. And if we do something that Washington County doesn't agree with, and it's not based upon facts, then all these other jurisdictions have to do is take us to LUBA potentially and challenge our comprehensive plan amendment. So that's the reason why we have to have the studies done to justify moving it around. So I did talk to the LCD, and I mentioned the TSP, and she pointed out our regional rep, Laura Kelly. She said one of the good grant programs is the TGM, the Transportation Growth Management Grant. I believe the city was awarded that grant during the original development of the TSP, but that's something to explore. She gave me a contact over at DLCD who is familiar with the Fisher Road and the TSP kind of controversy in the city. And so what I would ask from the council is for the next meeting is to direct the chief acting city manager to direct staff to write a resolution for the city council to pass that supports staff to go out, seek funding through grants, and actually create like a comprehensive policy that's in writing that I can take to these grant program managers at different organizations and say, hey, this is the direction that the city council is going. That resolution I can also bring to, like Missy said, when I'm talking to other agencies, hey, we have this policy now that's in place. This is the direction the city's going. How can you help? Because we're going to need a lot of help from Washington County, from Tigard, from Metro, ODOT potentially, to get this funding and to get support from the other agencies as we move along with this. Because we're currently a one-person planning operation, we will need to hire consultants. And I definitely think it's possible to do, but at the same time, it's quite a project to take on.
My concern is this, and I appreciate Max, and I've complimented you before, so you know how I feel about you personally. But my concern is you have expressed over and over again what I perceive to be a bias, and I really want a neutral party. Not that I don't respect your opinion, I do mightily, but hear me out. I want a neutral party because you've already made some statements here of your opinion, and that's why the community is asking the council. We got voted in our seat here because the community has done, and you have watched it, and so has Ronnie, and they will continue to recall us if we don't do this. We have to get a neutral party. We have to answer the constituents first. So how do we do that?
Well, thank you for asking, Councilor Braverman. Max is, I've just worked with him for a month or so now. He's not biased. He's going to do a great job, but I think I just heard him say the same thing you're saying, which is, I need a little help with this. I'm a one-man shop.
I do want to make one point, is that Fisher Road will not extend from Fisher Road is now to 137 unless the city council does that.
I would like to just reiterate, because we did vow to listen to our constituents, right? And so, yes, not going through the Bankston conservation is high on my priority list. There are still community members who don't want the extension at all. And I don't think that they've been satisfied as far as why. So although it might not be feasible, I want to make sure we go down the road of exhausting that so that we can show the community that we have upheld what we said we were going to do. We want to look into that, right? It seems as though in the past it's just been, well, we're not going to do it, but it's not been satisfied as to why. And I do agree, we are expanding, we want interconnectivity, we want to bring everyone together. Is this the way to do it or not, right? But we need to travel down that road before we say, somebody might have something to say about it, or it could be too difficult, right? Let's travel the road, and when people have something to say about it, we can analyze it as we go. So that's where I would be coming from. Also, it's been said, you had mentioned writing a resolution to direct staff to seek funding. Would we do that before or after hiring a transportation consultant?
You would want to direct staff to seek funding for the transportation consultant.
Yeah.
And could we use an RFP that we've used previously?
So I think that the city can start to get the RFP together, put the RFP out, scope it.
Same scoping, put the RFP out,
But I think what you're saying, if I'm hearing you right, is that when the RFP number comes back, that's when the council would want to take a look at the current budget and see if the money is actually in the budget before hiring the consultant. And I think what Max is saying is there may be alternative funding sources out there. so that it wouldn't have to come from the city's budget, possibly. Am I saying that right? Okay.
I want to at this point open it up for discussion for everyone. Counselor Gerhart, do you have further questions or discussion points?
Actually, I do, yeah. I want to, I appreciate Missy's, opinion regarding, you're looking for some help from city council. And I think city council needs to provide that help, and we need to be very direct about it. And I'd like to make a resolution that, we direct the city manager to instruct staff to investigate the Fisher Road extension and to seek.
That's in the TSP, not just the Fisher Road extension, right?
I can include all that in the residential.
What I'm asking the council to do is to direct staff to write the resolution, which you'll then vote on. And if you have any amendments that you want, or anything you want to add, we can do that before it's signed.
So essentially, what Counselor Gerhart has started is, it sounds like the next step is to instruct city staff to draft a resolution that would include what? Can you restate what it is we would need to direct you to do?
To devote resources and seek funding in an effort to amend the TSP to the satisfaction. Something like that, more eloquently, but.
Okay, so I'm trying to write it down as we go. So to devote resources and seek funding to amend TSP to community satisfaction.
Also, I'd like to include alternatives to Fisher Road extension and the car.
Sure.
Devote resources, seek funding to amend TSP, to include alternatives to Fisher Road extension and avoiding Bankston conservation.
And I'll dig up some analysis. One final thing I wanted to mention, in the meantime.
Just a second, we've got a resolution, don't we need?
Well, we didn't make a formal motion yet, but I did write it down. So let's go ahead and make it, potentially after Counselor Gerhart. I would just like the rest of the council to be able to weigh in before we hone in on a motion. But Max, did you have something you were?
I can do it at the end.
Saying? Okay. Counselor Cunningham, did you have anything you would like to add to?
I have nothing to add at this.
Counselor Tyson?
I had something in it flew out of my head, I apologize. In doing this, and I think you worded it well, the word of caution is we will look at these alternatives and they may or may not be feasible. And so we all need to recognize that the city council and the city staff will do their best to do as the greater community outside of King City wants, but we can't guarantee that that's what the net result is going to be.
And I just would like to also say, because I know you've mentioned a couple times people outside of King City, Edgewater is within King City, and there has been a lot of outcry from members of Edgewater for this as well. So we do need to make sure that we're, you know, like you said, doing the best that we can to meet the needs of
All the King City residents.
all King. Yeah, I mean,
All King City residents have issues around the TSP. I'm sorry, I'm speaking in a
no, that's okay. I'm going to go to Council President for your.
I don't mean any disrespect to anyone, because I have a lot of respect for everyone on staff, but there has been a perceived bias from the last administration and the last council, a very difficult perceived bias by our staff. So we feel that our constituents, King City residents were given false deadlines. It has to be done by December 30th, or else we lose our funding, and it turns out that was not true. We have to do this, or if we don't do this, it's going to happen, and it turned out not to be true. There have been a lot of false narratives also. One false narrative that I will intend to prove, and I'll mention it in my staff report today,
is we have people in Edgewater digging up paperwork. We have people that are going to show that Fisher Road was never a connector road. We have the paperwork in Edgewater was built. I'm concerned about false narratives. I'm concerned about bias. I'm concerned about false information. I think it is really important going forward, if we are going to restore the respect of our constituents to our staff and to our city council, that we be very careful not to be giving out false narratives that we can't prove. If you have a document that goes back to 1900 that shows me that Fisher Road was always to be a collector road, bring it. If you don't have that, be careful of what facts you're putting forward. I am a fact person. I want proof. Okay? And so do the constituents. They have lost hope. They don't come here because they don't feel like it matters. That is extremely sad. We need to restore their faith in us, please.
Councilor Arditi?
The only thing I would add to that, we had a major disruption in council, a year and a half ago, when the vote was to remove 4 people that didn't go along, or that were endorsing the transportation system plan the way it was developed before we got on council. So I believe what we should do is let the whole group of King City people vote on this again. Vote on whether Fisher is a connector, because they all voted at one time to remove people that wanted to do it. So let's just have everybody put their money where their mouth is, and let's have them vote. And then it's over. Then if people vote not to make Fisher a connector, it's not. And then everybody goes around on 137th and all the way down to 131st, and traffic will increase. That's how it's going to be. And then if people voted to make a connector, then it's over. But let the community decide that in the next voting cycle, which I think is coming up, next year? So I have no problem with doing all this investigation. But at some point, the volume of traffic is going to speak for the city, because people are going to get sick and tired of having to go around things when they could go through things. That's progress. I'm sorry. And I started this whole procedure agreeing that maybe Fisher Road shouldn't be a connector. But my constituents and the people that I talk to, they're saying, why should we not do that? That's progress. And I know some people are against that, but we might want to think about voting. That's all I have to say.
What would be the legal issues around that?
Okay, so I think what Councilor Arditi is talking about is putting the TSP amendments to a vote of the voters. That is a really complicated legal issue right now, and something similar happened up in North Plains, and it was massively complicated litigation. So I'm not prepared right now I would need to really do some research into that and where we have landed. Generally, when you are amending your land use plans, those are not able to be referred to the voters. I'm going to say that as a general rule with a bunch of carve-outs, because, again, of what happened up in North Plains with the UGB amendment, it was in the paper, in the news a lot. That went to circuit court litigation and went to the Court of Appeals. I haven't followed up on what's going on with that. So it's complicated. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't think that it's allowed right now.
So it sounds like, and I have it written down, so if you guys are okay with it, I will go ahead and make the motion that I had written out, since I have it in front of me. But at this point, it sounds like the next steps we have potentially agreed upon is to direct City Manager Pro Tem to direct staff to devote resources and seek funding to amend TSP to include alternatives to Fisher Road Extension and avoid the Bankston Conservation.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
I'll second it.
Let's go ahead and discussion. Is there any further discussion from you, Councilor Gearhart?
Yes, I'm sensitive to what Councilor Arditi was saying. I also have heard some talk that if we delay much further, I think there's a potential the city could be sued by the developers. That's unreasonable or unreasonable?
No, not for any reason that I can think of. But what happens is the current TSP is just in effect. And so when a developer comes in for a development application, like a subdivision or master plan, or I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying. Subdivisions. The current TSP is what binds them, and so they'll be goal posted, meaning that those are the rules that apply to them
So they,
forever.
okay, so they would continue
Under the
that development.
Yeah.
And then if in November of next year, the voters said nay.
If it's possible, which I don't know
If it was possible, yeah, okay. I'm just curious.
Counselor Cunningham, any further discussion?
No, thank you.
Counselor Tyso?
Not at this point.
Council President?
I think I would like to suggest that we have another meeting to flesh out a few things. I don't have a problem with your motion per se, but I'm thinking that there may be some other things that we want to direct staff. I want to give Missy a chance to think more about it. I think there may be some more steps that we should be taking. I don't know what they are right now, Missy, but my instincts are telling me that we should schedule a work session with you and make sure I think this is a good first step, and I think there are second and third steps that we should be putting in play as well.
Sure, snap it out.
Well, so I think what Max is suggesting, and I think that this is a great idea, is that at the next meeting, whether it's a special meeting or the October regularly scheduled meeting, he's going to draft a resolution that memorializes the motion that's getting voted on, and that's sort of the official start of the planning, I guess is how I would say it. And I think that that's a really good idea to start it that way and then officially memorialize it rather than just having to have somebody go back and watch a meeting video to find out what happened. They can just read the resolution. Right? Okay.
Counselor Arditi, anything else to add?
No, let's vote. It's getting late.
All right, let's go ahead and go to a vote. Counselor Arditi?
Yes.
Council President Braverman?
Yes.
Counselor Tyso?
Yes.
Counselor Cunningham?
Yes.
Counselor Gearhart?
Yes.
Mayor Kazmersky, yes. Motion passes 6-0 to direct staff to devote resources and seek funding to amend TSP to include alternative Fisher Road extension and avoiding the Kingston conservation. Okay,
I think I'm supposed to, I tried to disclose that I live in Escalade. I feel like I'm supposed to repeat that. I have to disclose that I live in Escalade. And so, I hope I'm allowed to vote on that. I was really voting on to amend the TSP.
thank you. And then next on our agenda is our added item of resolution number R 2025-18. Max, did you have? Go for us on this. Great.
So, the city, our paving for this year, we were about $100,000 under budget. So we spent $294,000 out of the $400,000 that was allocated for the 2025-26 fiscal year. As sort of a way to anticipate unexpected financial constraints, when we were doing the project planning way back in May or April or whenever it was, to determine what streets were going to be paved, when it became apparent that we needed to do some serious infrastructure on Crown Drive and the costs associated with the stormwater infrastructure, we sacrificed a couple other streets that were on the list of paving. The two main streets that we sacrificed were 129 out in Garden Villas and some striping and sidewalk stuff over on the Southwest Fisher roundabout. And given the fact that we are so under budget, and also based off of some feedback that I received from our inspector at Consor, who was on site down there in Garden Villas, the folks over on 129 were like, hey, why aren't you guys paving our street too? And so I talked with Missy and Ronnie and our engineer, and we determined that the best course of action and the most above board course of action would be set out another RFP. The cost estimate for paving 129 and doing striping around Fisher Roundabout is about $48,918. So we'd still be well under budget, and we can get it done if we go quickly with this by mid-October at the latest. And so we wanted to present this resolution to you, the city council, to authorize the staff to go out, release the RFP, have another bid. It would be a bit of a shorter process because it's a smaller project, and get the ball rolling on it. So
That is fantastic. We heard good things from Jimmy Walker, by the way.
Let's go ahead and make a motion, and then we can do discussion, and then move it forward.
I just wanted to compliment and thank Matt.
Yes, well done. Let's go ahead and, I'll entertain a motion to approve this, and then we'll move to discussion.
I make a motion to approve this resolution. I forgot the number.
R 2025.
R 2025-18.
I'll second that.
Okay, now we can go to discussion. Councilor Arditi, do you have any discussion or questions?
I'm not quite sure, Max, when you repaving, is that asphalt or is that a seal coat?
asphalt.
Okay. That's all I need to know.
Thank you. Council President?
I think it's fantastic. I just want to say thank you again, and also, if there are any other streets that need work, we have any extra money, will you let us know, because we're hearing a lot. I was out walking this weekend, and some of the people, it may have been the same gentleman who asked you about 120, and he stopped us. So thank you for taking care of that.
Councilor Tyka?
Yeah, I think this is wonderful. Now, out of that $100,000 slush fund, so to speak, but not really a slush fund, will you be able to devote some funding to repair the damage that was done by the removal of the fence, or do we need to move that to another council meeting? The fencing in the park, where there's...
Oh, that's something separate, yeah.
Okay.
And so the leftover money, based upon my conversation with Katie, if I'm not misremembering, is gonna go to the general fund, after. If it's not used.
In another supplemental budget? Sorry, Katie.
We'll probably technically be under budget for the year if we don't end up spending it. We might move it if we need to. It might be money that we take to fund something else.
Right. Councilor Cunningham?
I would just like to say that there are many streets in the original KCCA that are collapsing, and I would like to see some attention to those. Royalty Parkway from the golf course to the Queen Elizabeth, and then Victoria Place. And I will tell you that the people that I talk to around KCCA think that this council spends too much time taking care of Edgewater. So there's a little competition going on, like who gets to be the first child, right?
Councilor Gearhart?
I too think you're doing a fantastic job. You keep it up, and we're probably going to nominate you for sainthood. So keep it up. On the other side of that coin, I heard a rumor. I think it was Yvette from KCCA, something about damaging the parking lot at KCCA.
Yes, I only fielded an email, and it was the contractor. The city didn't have anything to do with that.
I understand, right?
I heard he talked
Yes.
to the PM over at Bricks, but that's between the KCCA.
And this is, left over from the 2025 budget? No, it's in,
It was brand new budget. We did, I recall we didn't underspend in but it's not like you don't really necessarily carry over.
sure, okay. So is there, since it sounds like there is, $50,000 left potentially, is there any other paving that we can use this funding for?
So if you would like, I can request that the engineer come up. I don't know if there's enough for paving, but
really small.
But maybe some striping somewhere. I know like 131st needed some striping that got cut, and I think the work over on Fisher is gonna be, fixing the sidewalk panels, or, fixing the sidewalk, like the crosswalks. But there's a messed up sidewalk panel over there.
I know there's been some community comments about some painting and different things. I don't
There's
know.
some minor stuff in there. I could authorize him to come up with a project list that equals the amount of the
Yeah.
budgeted, so an additional $104,000, give or take, and then send out an RFP for that.
I mean, if we have it in the budget and we've had complaints about different things, it'd be nice to have maybe a priority list of here's what we can do with the money we have left over.
Up to $400,000.
Right.
Yeah, I could do that, but we do need to be expedient with it because street paving is overspending.
Is that something we can, amend this resolution to include, requesting a priority list for the remainder of the funds?
Yeah. I can add another whereas in there and.
Do you want me to amend my motion?
Yeah, we can amend it with, approving it with,
Then I'd be
The
able to
amend-
amend it.
yeah, but I'm just asking for clarification.
So we can have these two as the key priority list items, and then give the city engineer authority to come up with a project list up to the amount of the total $400,000.
So yes, let's amend it to, approve with additional conditions, an additional whereas. How would we amend it?
It'll be an additional therefore.
An additional therefore.
Okay, so I will make the motion if you say it, Max. So I amend my motion to, approve, the resolution 2025-18 with the amendment
That authorizes
authorizes
the city engineer to spend up to the $400,000 allocated.
spend up to the $400,000 allocated in the order of priority.
Ronnie got that.
I did.
And I'll second that.
Okay, motion on the table is to approve resolution number R 2025-18, with the amendment giving authority to the city engineer to spend up to $400,000 allocated in order of priority. Okay, Councilor Gerhart.
Yes.
Councilor Cunningham.
Yes.
Councilor Tyso.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
Councilor Arditi.
Yes.
And Mayor Kazmarski, yes. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, that is all for our items on the agenda. Now we will move into our report and city manager's report.
All right, real quick, at least staff's got a lot of stuff to talk about. First, on the city manager side, my sad news is, Dave Runyon has announced his retirement. And so we're losing him, basically. But, I really like to keep him. So there's some thoughts that I have about trying to keep him. It may be a seasonal role that we could probably talk about, in the next meeting. But, it's a tremendous loss for us because of his abilities are amazing and there's really nothing the guy can do. And so it's something that, I would like to, I spent a lot of time trying to talk him out of it. And so, but it's something that I know he would agree to possibly, coming back to a seasonal role. But I wish him and his wife went it well and, look forward to hopefully trying to keep him around. Kind of flipping gears to the police side, we talked about the DVAM month, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. One of the things you'll see that I've done every year for the last couple of years is, I sticker the cars. They have a big purple ribbon that goes onto the hood, that we keep on the cars for about a month. So that'll be showing up. And then we are usually included also in the Washington County PSA that comes out for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, that they film a commercial that's usually done in Hillsborough. So that should be coming up soon. One of the things we do is that the officers that choose to do so, you'll see them wearing pink patches and pink labeled gear for their outer vests that are also for Breast Cancer Awareness Month as well. And so it's kind of a double thing that we do for the month for the officers who choose to get involved with that. I'm spending a little more money on another car. Our two white vehicles that are out there, the Ford Explorers, are aged. They're 7 years old. They're 2018 expenses for maintaining them are starting to ramp up quite a bit. I'm spending about $5,000. Their water pumps have gone out, and it's, even though it's an easy part, you literally have to remove the body from the engine to get to it. And so, or to drop the engine out of it to repair it. So it's the part's not much, but it's about a $5,000 repair. Second time. Another vehicle. So lining up another Dodge Durango. This has already been a budgeted item, but the vehicle, $44,000, and then outfit is another $22,000 to $23,000, which budget is $70,000. So it should stay under budget there. So be looking forward to that happening. That is all I have. If there's questions I can answer.
Who gets to drive the new vehicle? How do you allot that?
One of them hasn't even, so we're having a problem with, we're trying to get the new tough looks for the officers. And so in anticipation of getting those sooner, I had the newest one outfitted with the dock that fits the tough book. Well, our books that we have now won't fit in that. And so nobody's been driving that one. So that one's only got 120. Got nothing. But we're working on getting, a fix for that so we can all get out there, and I let them figure out who's going to drive the cars and stuff. I think I'm still driving the oldest car. I got a 2015. I have a 10-year-old car. But it's just something that we need to do for the staff and have, We'll take it for a spin if you like.
Oh, yeah.
I think all of us should have a ride.
There you go. We can do that.
We take turns.
We can do that.
Thank you.
And that's all I have.
Staff report. Mayor.
Oh. First staff report. Okay, Mira, let's go ahead and start with you.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Mira? Yep.
Yes. The video's not on. Okay, anyway, no video.
Yeah.
That's fine. So, yes, for the August was another busy month for our accounting department. And then we complete the June, July, and August financials and the supplemental budget. Wait, it's on? Okay, it's on. Yes. Yeah. And also I want to say that during the month of August, and we experienced significant staffing shortage. But our team demonstrated that strong commitment are essential to keep city service doing smoothly by supporting one another, sharing responsibility and stepping in where needed. So like when one of the employee unexpectedly taking maternity leave, which is during the weekend, and Diana immediately stepping up the next Monday to ensure a smooth continuation of service for the municipal court, because she left the bunch traffic ticket in the office, and the court rescheduled coming on the twice a month on the Tuesday. So Diana, she is just awesome and step up and cleaning the whole office and organize everything. And we help each other. And also I want to mention Maxwell. And when Dave, our public work director, and he is taking the medical leave for the whole month, for the August and September, yeah. So when there's something come up, Max, oh, hold on, sorry. I have a phone call. That is a phone call. There's a phone call coming, sorry. So yeah, Max take over and he installed a stop sign. And my phone call, sorry. Oh, into that. Yeah, anyway, I want to say that staff ensured that critical functions were handled in a timely and professional manner. So which is, I'm so proud of us. So I love to work with this awesome team. Sorry. Oh. Yeah, that's all. Can you hear me? It's kind of breaking down. Hello? 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 I can't hear. I can't hear.
Have we lost audio?
I have until September 30th to either accept the funds and continue with the project or deny the funds and, readdress the project at another time.
September 30th?
What would be the total cost of the project? It's gotta be more than $420,000.
Well, we would only be on the hook, this is just preliminary engineering to reach 30% design. And we would have to, they wouldn't fund the rest of the project. They might potentially fund, construction, but if we did this 400,000 and then decided now we give up, then we would have to pay the 400,000 back.
So didn't we at the last meeting just he has authority to do a study of the artifacts and things before we could do anything.
That was separate. That was for the kayak launch.
Is this the same project?
This is the bridge.
That's in the same area.
It's in the same area, yeah.
So are we in danger of getting ahead of ourselves until we have that study done first to make sure that we can work on that land so we can finish the project before we go forward with the engineering?
No, I don't, the engineering, I mean, it's preliminary engineering, so design, feasibility, geotechnical analysis, things like that, doing bathymetric surveys, you're really just kind of, nothing's being constructed or anything like that.
Right, but why would we want to spend the money to do that if it turns out it's an Indian, we can't even do anything, then we have to give the money back?
Well, the findings from the cultural survey did not find that, but part of doing the preliminary engineering, before you look into it, is to determine if it's feasible in the first place. I think that cultural study would have probably been necessary at some point anyway, but just was not included in the scope of this work because it was done for another.
This is still kind of risky. It feels risky to me.
In my mind, it feels, if I'm being just completely frank, it feels like we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit.
Mhm.
And also, I feel like since it's a cross-jurisdictional project
Yeah.
on a metro regional trail, it might be better to wait until a few years, until one, the West Side Trail gets built, and two, if, you get some sort of intergovernmental agreement with Metro
Yeah.
and Tualatin.
I would feel more comfortable if we knew where, the total funding would be coming from also.
At first, when I
Um,
applied to this, I thought it was just gonna be like a design, planning, and then we could use that as like a springboard to go forward, but then they said, hey, you're gonna have to commit to this. And also the fact that ODOT also said that since we're not a federal funding certified agency, because this money is coming from the Fed, that ODOT would basically be the ones doing the entire project. We would be paying this 10% match, but we wouldn't have any control over the design of the bridge and some other stuff. So the more I looked into it, the less I was super about it.
I have a question. Will ODOT have the money? Will ODOT exist?
That's $1 million question. They have it now.
They have it right now.
Yeah.
But will the governor take it back to
Well, it's
fund?
from the federal government.
Okay.
So
Well, again,
even-
will the federal government give Oregon a sanctuary state any money?
No, but, we'll see.
So that's why it feels risky to me.
Yeah,
Because of
I-
all these people that are cutting back on
Yeah.
grants.
I feel as though it feels like the consensus is not the right time.
Mhm.
Do we all kind of agree to that?
I
Okay.
think so, because I'm afraid there's gonna be a clawback.
So, Matt, maybe you want to, get us, just put it on the agenda, the next meeting we have, just get around to it and vote on
I
it?
think
Not
there's
until the
a
30th.
bit. I don't know, it's just, yeah, without knowing the total project cost, what who would help us, I don't know, it just kind of feels like we would do it and then have to pay it back.
Can we vote on it now?
We don't need to vote on it, he just needed kind of consent, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was
Oh,
a
okay.
staff decision. I just wanted to bring it to you guys to see where you were at with it
Yeah.
before I decided to move
It
forward.
sounds like we're in agreement with your, yeah.
And now I can go to ODOT and say, the city council wasn't a big.
Blame it on us.
Yeah, no, it just sounds like not the right time.
I just, the more, when I first applied for that grant, it seemed really low risk, because it was such a low match, and it was like, okay, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do it. But, yeah, the more, and also the other aspect of it would be, if I'm devoting resources to this, and trying to get those kinds of grants, then I'm losing out on devoting those time and money and effort for other grants, for other things.
Yeah, but thank you for sharing that.
We have a couple more things. As Mira mentioned, Officer Cotillo and I did go out and install a stop sign and street sign today. I am doing some minor, public works activities. I mean, we kind of all are, nowadays. And that's, I'll save time and cut that off for now.
Thank you, Max. Erin?
So the two main things that I've been focusing on, is, just making sure the council bios, get updated as well as the, mayor's message. We'd like to get those up on the website. I will reiterate, I know I sent all of you some prompts, just general questions, kind of following the same basic guidelines that most, council and mayor bios, follow. I am happy if you want to just answer those prompts, I can write it up, send it back to you, or if you would like to write it yourself, I'm happy to do some light edit work and work with you on that. It's whatever you're comfortable with. And then secondly, is our King City Council survey. So I know I sent over some questions with some feedback. And so I just wanted to get a general consensus of how we felt about that, because I really would like to send that survey out and get that out on social media. I do also have an email list of residents that we can send it out to. We can put it out on social media and the website. And then additionally, we can have paper versions available so that people can pick them up here, fill them out, I can receive them and kind of transcribe that down so we can get that feedback as well. Yes.
One place, if you're going to have paper ones, I would maybe suggest you walk across the street to KCCA and have them available there, because there's a number of people who go into the clubhouse but really don't do things online.
I also suggested that she try to get a newsletter article going, that maybe she could have a regular publication in the KCCA newsletter for those of us that live at KCCA.
Yes.
Yeah, and would you just do us a favor and explain what it is you were going to put on that like what your process that you were going to use? I know you just said email, but you're going to use SurveyMonkey, I think is what you said, and then what specific things are going to be on it?
So SurveyMonkey is an online website. It seems to be the easiest way that we can take all of the email lists that we have, and we can send it out and say, please, fill out our survey. It helps me to have a deadline. It helps us to bring in those answers without me having to filter through a bunch of stuff. It kind of does that for me. In terms of the survey that we're trying to aim for now, it's very general. It's just asking for your name, you can put your address if you like these things. That part will never be public, but if you just want to put your street or your neighborhood that you live in, that's fine, but we just kind of get a general idea of where people are coming from with it. And then what issues would you like King City Council to address immediately? So these are mostly comment sections. And then please rank those in order of what you feel is the most and the least important. What issues would you like King City Council to address in 2026? Again, ranking from most to least important. What are 1 to 3 things you would like to see improved in King City? And then how satisfied are you with the overall quality of life? 1 being very dissatisfied, 5 being very satisfied. And then if you can, just to explain that answer, why you chose that answer, just to kind of get a pulse of where our citizens are.
Are we going to suggest a few topics, like, maybe list 3 or 4? I know the mayor mentioned about actually giving them a list of some things to think about in case they couldn't think of anything, or were we going to add that, or has that been decided to take out? I wasn't sure where we were on that.
I'm open to it. I didn't want to pinpoint people towards certain areas. I really felt like this could be just for now, this survey, just to kind of get an idea and see where people are at. And when we get those survey answers, if there's a lot of answers in a very specific area, then we can kind of pool those together, see where everyone is at, and then maybe we get more deep into those specifics.
And then, do you want to reach out to all the HOAs, besides just KCCA? I know Steve Gerhard and I we're on the liaison of the HOAs. What do you think of that idea in addition? Do you think that's worthwhile or not?
I think it's definitely worthwhile. Personally, I wasn't sure what the rules regarding HOAs and that sort of situation and how cities can approach HOAs, so I didn't want to step into that pool without understanding completely how I can approach that. But I'm very willing to work with all of the HOAs and make sure that they have access to the survey link, or like you said, many of our, citizens don't really do technology, the paper versions, things like that. So I'm very open to having that conversation, and if they're willing to help you with the survey, I'm happy to.
So Aaron, what's your time frame on this? You sent us 2 emails today, didn't you? That you need us to respond to you by when?
So I would like for this survey to Wednesday. So if I can get it out on Friday morning, I feel like that gives people a weekend to really
marinate on it, right? My deadline, I would like to be generally around October 10th, because then I feel like I can take all the answers, compile them, kind of, create a system of understanding of where we're at, and then I can bring it to you at the next city council meeting. So it's not just shoving 4 or 5 pages of people's responses in your faces, but I can say, these are the things that I saw, these were the trends that I read.
So then you need our response by tomorrow.
Just in terms of if you have any feedback or suggestions on the questions, if you don't, I'm happy to, move forward in terms of questions.
And then on the bio, when is that due?
The bio itself, I mean, if you can get it to me by the end of the week or beginning of next week. I know it might take you a weekend, I know it's work has other, commitments, so I'm happy to work on that, especially starting next week.
I thought the last version you sent around with people's comments was perfect. Does anybody any
Well,
comments?
I think, yeah, just leave it open for if anybody has additional comments, just send an email and I'm sure Erin can synthesize our thoughts together. Councilor Tyso?
In SurveyMonkey, because you're asking for addresses, can you sort of do like a population map?
I'm sure I've made heat maps and population maps in previous places, so I can kind of make one just using my.
Just so that we can.
I'm not sure SurveyMonkey can, but I can do that myself.
Yeah, and you
Or
know.
Rogers or that.
I can do that.
Yeah, awesome.
Good.
I just think it might be helpful for us if we know that, certain geographical areas of King City that some, I don't want to say, that the priorities might be different in Edgewater than they are in KCCA and different in, the Highlands and that sort of thing. I think it would just help.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Or if we get no responses at Casey.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
There is that.
And then, then we go knocking door to door, I guess.
I'm gonna go ahead and keep us moving. Are there any further staff reports? Ronnie, you had something.
Yes, so for Key Code, they are working on the project. Right now, they're ordering all the product that is key for the place and make sure, bring it here to make sure it works. They are also, doing a full, redo of the whole city, audio, just so you guys can look at that later. So it's kind of like 2 projects.
When are they gonna have the one scope that we approved?
They're still working on that one. I don't know. It depends on how fast the stuff gets to there.
They don't have like an estimated, like,
No, he didn't. give
couple
me an
weeks
estimate.
or, okay.
And, excuse me, Ronnie, last meeting we talked the dollar amount, and I think somehow we let them know that we have $40,000 to spend on this. And their amount that they quoted was what, 16 or 30 or something like that?
16, yeah.
So if we have 40,000 to spend on that, I wonder if there's some possibility we can get internet connection.
Well, I think that part of what we had approved was the initial scope, but then also have them give us another proposal of how we can make it even better.
Yeah, and use up the rest of that $40,000.
Yeah, so those are the 2 separate things that we approved initially our need, and then how can we make it better?
When did we approve that? What date was that?
That was in,
We just approved it in the minutes. I think it was August 17th meeting. Right, it was in the minutes.
It's been about
Yeah.
30 days.
That's $100,000 extra. That's gonna be a nice looking golf cart.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to council report. We'll start with Councilor Gearhart.
How much time do we have, Mayor? 5 minutes?
Brevity would be,
Yeah, okay.
let's say what you need to say.
So, it's been a busy month. So I talked with, John Forsack. I don't know if that's a right pronunciation of his name. He spoke at the last city council meeting, or one of the last meetings, about the poor condition of our sidewalks and the curbs. I also met with a guy named Curtis. You guys have, I'm sure, seen him. He's got a orange cape on, and he's repainting the curbs yellow using his own funds. He's got a couple of cones out there, and I suggested to him that maybe the city needs to provide some larger cones, because you guys have some nice tall ones. He's using little short ones, and he's going to get ran over. Anyway, and I told him that maybe in the October meeting, we will try to form a task force to take a look at the sidewalks, curbs. Also, City Council President Braverman and myself continued working with Jenny in her efforts to save the arborvitaes, and they look really, really good. I took a number of trips down there, and the pictures are great. They didn't touch any trees whatsoever.
If I may, that's reminded me of something. I actually we had a final arborist report from the city arborist that we hired to do an assessment, and then he did a need assessment at the end of the project, and essentially said that, the arborvitae were not damaged basically at all. And he also provided some recommendations to improve the health of the arborvitae, including like adding spark dust on the ground. And so I forwarded his report to Jenny and to Phyllis and Chuck. And so it's circulating over there for them to, if they want to go out there and do some more
And I think
beneficial stuff for it.
you guys got an email from Jenny, didn't you?
Yeah.
Showing pictures and all that, and talking about her gratitude. So excellent job, you guys, all of you. Last week I also met with Steve Worthington from Prothman. I think just about everybody did here, so I'm not going to go into any of that. This past Saturday, Patty and I attended the Health and Wellness Fair at KCCA. That was a real eye-opener. They had a lot to offer. While I was there, I had an opportunity to talk with the KCCA administrator, Yvette. Have you guys talked with her or met with her yet? She's relatively new.
Oh, I have talked to Yvette, yeah.
Okay. She expressed a real desire to work closer with the city, and maybe like doing joint seminars. The one we had on the parliamentarian Robert's Rules of Order, that would have been a real good one for KCCA board members to attend also. You should go to some of their meetings. It's an eye opener, and they'd really benefit from it. Last week I talked with Mark Fitzsimmons of TRK, Tualatin River Keepers, regarding a canoe boat trip with City Council. I mentioned it to you guys in the past, so that's getting closer and closer. So I see you frowning, Councilor. So Mark will and I will organize that, and somehow I will try to get an email without breaking quorum, and so I'll talk to Missy about that.
Do scheduling, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
We probably have to, we can't take a gift, we have to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
That's fine.
No, I'll have to think that through. Thank you for raising that.
Yeah.
Because it's a nonprofit, and I don't think they charge for them.
Well, he wouldn't charge it.
So, I was just frowning because I just want to make sure we're ethically clear.
I didn't know they charge for rentals.
They do.
If they charge for rentals, we would have to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charge for rent.
Okay.
$40 or something for the day.
All right. So we'll talk to Mark about that. Finally, I know a guy who knows a guy who lives on the ninth hole of the Summerfield Golf Course. I was told that our very own officer, John Kazmierski, using his CPR training and skills, saved the life of an 88-year-old man. Is that rumor true, Chief?
It's the first I've heard it,
Really?
or if it's real recent.
Like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's my husband. Yeah. A week or two ago?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. Anyway, I just thought he needed some recognition. And finally, today at lunchtime, I attended a very informative seminar on the League of Oregon Cities, and a number of us were there. And it was very eye-opening for a couple hours. And finally, my snarky comments earlier, I apologize to Councilor President Braverman. They were out of line. I suffer from what's known as SMS, smart mouth syndrome, as my wife can attest to.
Counselor Cunningham?
I have nothing. That was just 2 weeks ago? No, I'm sorry. I haven't done anything. That's okay.
You're too new.
Counselor Tyso?
Well, obviously, the meeting today with, LOC, I think that was one of the best meetings I've been to, and I've been to half a dozen of them at this point in time. Partly, I think it was because everybody in the room was really engaged, and the presenter who was from LOC talking about all of the legislative lobbying he does on behalf of the cities and how those decisions are made for the kinds of things that LOC is going to lobby. And so it's such a valuable organization for us. And let's see, a few days, the 14th, I think it was, or the 13th, I haven't lost now, the 12th, was Washington County, community block grant and the advisory board committee meetings, and we had a review of, they do this in four-year segments, and so we had a review of the last 4 years of all of the grants and whether they met the benchmarks or not, and over 90% of the grants met their benchmarks for how they use the funds and the success rate. And so now, and we have approved the next 4 years budget, but the next 4 years budget is tenuous because of having to rewrite everything and not knowing what's going to happen to the state of Oregon, particularly from the federal government. That's really exciting right now.
Do you have a presentation you could share with us?
A presentation? I could. Actually, I could forward to you guys the presentation that I. Yeah, because it was by Zoom, so, yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, I can do that. You know, it's really valuable work, and it makes you feel really good when you realize how many people have been housed, how many people have been through addiction recovery, how many children who were living in cars are actually now housed and able to go to school, those kinds of things. I mean, it's, you know, wonderful work happens, and we don't even realize it. You know, we're so busy doing our own little lives that we forget about.
Can we forward
That's
that
chief
city manager
to disseminate to us. I agree. Is that?
That is all I really have.
Yeah, so, I just wanted to say thank you. I think this is a really big meeting. I just wanted to bring up a few things. I too attended the LOC, today. I really enjoyed it. I had to go back to work, so I missed the last meeting part of it, but that's okay. Here are my agenda items I wanted to talk in my report. I wanted to bring up, I want to bring up to our next agenda, and this would go to our acting city manager and our mayor. I would like to add some agenda items to our next meeting. And the first one I'd like to add is, I'd like to hire Jurassic for maybe just an hour consult. They had already made a list for us when they did our training, the inconsistencies between our city charter and our municipal code. And since they already did the work and they already gave us an objective opinion, it would be great to have a consult with them to help us maybe give our charter committee some guidance on that and to help us finish that task and get some input from them, because they seem to really know their stuff. So that would be one agenda item I would ask that we could please put on the next agenda. Also, I'd like to add onto the agenda about that rental property that we're not using. It seems to me that sometimes we talk about things here at our city council meetings and then they don't seem to get followed up on. So I hope you don't mind. I'm kind of a stickler for details. I'd like to see that on the agenda. I'd also, I really applaud Steve Gerhardt. I think we need to also add to the agenda all the streets, like a task force, that do need to be addressed. I know we don't have the budget for it now, Max, but it would be nice to at least start a list and put them in kind of a triage order of importance so that we can, if we do get the budget, then we can start to work on those projects, or if we get funding somehow from somewhere, from the state or the county or the city, we can start to do that. The last thing is we talked about having a strategic plan. The mayor talked about wanting to put together a strategic plan, and I'd like to add that onto the agenda. I think now that we're coming towards the end of the year, this would be the time for us as city council and city staff to come together and make a strategic plan and set our goals for 2026. Those are kind of the things that were on my mind. The last thing I just wanted to share is that not only Edgewater, but all the people that live on Fisher Road are starting to come together to get information about what would happen if Fisher Road was extended and how that would impact the entire Fisher Road. We have a lot of people that live on Fisher Road, not just Edgewater. A lot of them are not even voters. They're not even part of King City, ironically. So I think we're going to be hearing a lot from the people that may be impacted on Fisher Road. I'm hearing a lot of movement going on there. That's all I had to report. Is Kempler Dean still?
I guess that leaves mayor's report. I was also at LOC meeting today with everyone, and it was great. I did unfortunately have to work for part of it, so I was listening and working and multitasking as is my life. But I appreciate that I was able to be there and just hearing from the other small cities that were able to share their experiences, and it was valuable. I will say that I am sad about the news about Dave, and if there is any way that he is willing to stay or we can create some type of seasonal anything for him, he is invaluable to the city, and that's my Dave is great. Let's see, tomorrow night I'm attending the Metro Mixer at Bay Club. So it'll be the second Metro, the zoo we went to together many months ago now. Yes, so I'm going to be there, and
I forgot to mention those.
Are you going?
Yeah.
I mean, it's my gym, so I was like, well, do I show up in workout clothes and set up a class afterwards? I don't know. But,
go straight from work.
yeah. So I'll be doing that tomorrow, and then on Friday, I will be having lunch with some other Washington County mayors. And
That's great.
Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. It'll be interesting. So that's kind of what I've got going on. I've taken down your suggestions for our next agenda. I will say the strategic plan, I would love it if we could probably schedule some type of work session after we have the results from the community poll. That was kind of the first step in figuring out what is our strategic plan. We want to hear from the community. So
And hiring a facilitator for the strategic planning is an excellent idea.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are facilitators that are on price agreements with the state that I think would be a very easy way to do it. I think you could even bypass an RFP for that. Or use LOC as a facilitator.
So, yeah, so let's make a note to have that as part of our agenda next month, because we will have some community results that we can kind of be looking at, and I think that's a really good next step, is to discuss hiring a strategic consultant.
Mayor, can I ask, so what is are we on track on the Prossman recruitment? Are we on on the timeline? Is it slipping? Do we know?
Okay, yes, that's a great question. We did all meet, I believe all the counselors have met with Steve at this point. He was also going to set up interviews with city staff. I'm not sure if that
I'm meeting
has.
Friday.
Don't know about
Nothing yet.
interviews with staff yet.
Okay.
They did,
He did send an updated timeline, because I did ask the question about, we need to get Sandy
I wasn't.
a Zoom slot as well if we can.
Yeah.
Oh, I did send Steve
I haven't heard from him.
Okay, I'll follow up with.
I would really like to talk to him.
Yeah, that would be, we want everyone to be able to give their input. So I had asked because it seemed as though we were about 2 weeks behind as far as interviews. So he did send an updated, timeline, and I believe it still shows by end of November, we should be holding final interviews.
Okay.
Ronnie, does that sound correct?
Yeah, I'm looking for the person's name, but they did send me, yesterday. So I'll forward that to you guys.
Perfect. And we know that December can get really busy with the holidays and people being gone, so I made it pretty clear that the goal is, you know, by the end of the year, but preferably like before, obviously, the holidays. So right now, it seems as though we're on track for final interviews end of November, and that gives us still a tiny wiggle room before.
I have an update. I mean, I did talk with him, we had to reschedule. I'm talking to him again on Friday because it got cut short. And he told me he was in the process of moving, it's been really stressful, and he's been really distracted. And I could tell when I talked to him, because I was on the Zoom for 17 minutes, and I wrote him and I said, I'm on the Zoom for 17 minutes. And then he was done 18 minutes later, and he said, oh, I've been here the whole time. And I said, I don't know where you were because I've been writing you. And he's like, oh my gosh, your email. I was like, I'm really distracted. So I wrote him afterward, and I said, look, I want to give you grace. If you're moving from one place to the other, that's not correct. I mean, anyone who's moved knows how hard that is. And so I don't know, and I don't want to step in where I'm not wanted here, but I'm wondering if you should reach out to him. I think he's really struggling. The chief, I think he's really struggling with the move and might need a little bit more time.
Would like to not make more time really an option at this point.
I agree with that.
A critical list. Well, and yes, he disclosed that he was moving before we entered into the agreement, and we had a timeline when we entered into the agreement, and we need to adhere to the timeline as best as possible, because as we have seen, city staff is, everyone's picking up. Yeah, so we need to keep it moving. If there is a reason that we need to reach out and tighten up the timeline, that's great, but I don't really want to offer an extension per se.
We'll let him tell us if he needs more time.
All right, I believe that's it. So, motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. All right, sorry for